Hello! YouTube tells me I'm alive. I always believe YouTube. You know I don't you? Right, who have we got tonight? Good grief, Mike was in first. How did you manage that?
I was testing.
Really?
To make sure the chat was saving.
Okay then, let you off.
Yeah.
Hello, Sezzy. I do hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, let me know. Let me know. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Kim. Hello, Carol. Hello, Graham. Graham, what have you got? What's edible that you've got? Let me know. Hello, Peter. I don't want to miss anybody. Hello, Renee. Deb. CQ, Deb. And hello, Paul. Do we have two Pauls? I thought we had two Pauls then. I've obviously seen double. But then it's that hot here. That'll be why. It's evil here, let's just say. It's evil. Seriously, the weather is possibly the hottest I've ever felt it here. Right, let me do some magic. Can you tell I'm moving my head from left to right? It's like watching a tennis match. Right, no, you're going to behave, aren't you? You're going to just... No, you're not going to behave. See that? First slide out, not going to behave. You will behave. Right, we'll try it again. That looks fine to me. Let's do some jiggery pokery. Get it switched over. I think we're good. I think we're good. Oh, hello, Alex. I'm checking. No, I've not been left anybody out. Peter, you're quite right. It's been a bit toasty in Cheshire. Yes, we're in Cheshire. We're in the very, very northern edge of Cheshire, on the Cheshire Greater Manchester border, and it's far too hot. Okay, hello and welcome. You should be seeing my slides. Time will tell. Shall we try it? Oh no, nothing happened. That'll be the mouse thing.
My phone's going mental. Mine
aren't too happy tonight either, funnily enough. And I haven't even started with the webcams yet and other kind of stuff I'm going to push it to do. So if we suddenly disappear, everything's melted. That's what happened. Right, so this is what we've got. Very briefly mention something I'm actually quite excited about. I won't be when the price is released. But at the moment, I'm quite excited about, which is Microsoft Cloud. It's the cloud PC. It's a PC that lives in the cloud. So I'm quite interested in that. Then we've got the Advent spread that I'm doing in Affinity Publisher. But I've got a bit of an issue with some data. I'll explain more shortly. So I thought I'd take it back up a level and talk about scene creation. And then do the spread in Affinity Publisher. Mike is talking about protection tips. That's tricky to say, Mike.
Protection.
Yeah, could you pick something easier like SumIf or something like that? That would be good. And then we've got part 2 of drafts. I had lots of feedback about drafts. You want more on drafts? There you go. Right, we are broadcasting in 1080p. Are you receiving in 1080p? Let me know. We need to know what it's done to you this week, because you know what it's like. It's got a mind of its own. I'm also whizzing through here. Some of my slides are missing.
Oh.
5 of my slides have vanished.
Chocolate muffin and an apple and blackcurrant pie, a small one.
Oh, do you remember those gluten-free blueberry things?
Yeah.
Oh, you got me craving now, Graham.
I've got a ton in the freezer.
If they're in the fridge, mind you, it wouldn't take them long to defrost, would it? That's a good thought.
Remind me after the show.
Right, there you go. Okay, so shall we wrap it up here then, so I can have my cake? While you're down there checking that, you could give it a like. If you find anything to like that you enjoy, or just because you like us. I've just realised I've got one more issue here. I've always got one more issue, haven't I? Why do I have one more issue? Slides, they'll be the death of me. That's what it is. Slides. It's been too hot. That's the entire issue. Right, let me do some more magic. Get back up there. And there. And there.
No one leaves the room until the 5 slides are found.
It's weird. They're actually back now. They're not missing from the slide deck, because, you know, they wouldn't dare not after what happened to Keynote. They learnt the lesson. But they've disappeared from the thumbnail track at the bottom, but they're back now, because I've just come out and gone back in. Playing with my mind. Anyway, it's been that kind of week, so shall we share the week? Oh, Saturday. We had our 9 shows, but of course we weren't actually there. We've mastered omnipotence, haven't we? We are in 2 places at once. So the 9 shows happened without us because we were having a meeting. Do you remember that, Mike?
I do.
Yeah. As threatened, we'd planned a meeting. It was
a
actually
breakfast meeting.
Yeah, we'd planned a planning meeting, but we should probably have replanned it, to be honest. Needless to say, it took longer than anticipated, so it was left unfinished. Oh no. Because we needed to go into Marooned. And then, at 8 o'clock, Mike got really grumpy. Because Tesco turned up an hour early.
Wow.
We were literally just saying hello, and the Tesco man's outside, and he said, Mike said, what's he doing? He's not due for an hour. He'd unpacked, actually, hadn't he, by the time he said to you, I'm a bit early, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, like after the horse had gone. I held the fort with Brooklands. We had such a cute theme. Wasn't it? Was it national or international? Mike's forgotten what the theme was.
I forgot what the theme was.
Let me help you out, Mike. Look at the pretty kitten.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah. Well, it was Kitten Day. I don't know. It
was International Kitten Day.
National or international.
So we extended it from kittens to cats to felines. But we had to break into programming. You remember when they used to break into programming? And it was something really important. This was something really important. If you recall, when we used to leave the house, I know it's a long, long time ago, but when we did, Mike was president of the local Catanian Association. And we pick a charity, and ours was the guide dogs. So we were collecting money throughout the year for a guide dog. Now, you can make a donation of any amount, but if you reach the dizzying heights of £2,500, you get to name the dog. We've got a dog. The dog's been born. The dog, we did get over £2,500. So the dog is called Brooke after the Brooklyn Circle. Isn't he just adorable? Before I saw a Samoyed, when I was about 10, 11, 12, that was my dream dog. My absolute dream dog, a golden lab. But then I saw a Samoyed and that was the end of that. But Brooke is rather cute. People were falling in love with him all over on Saturday. So yes, Brooke has arrived. He's now, what is he now? About 10 weeks old.
Yeah.
He's about 10 weeks old and starting his puppy training. So he'll be puppy training for somewhere between 14 to 18 months. He's just too cute. And then hopefully he will go on and be a companion. Oh, that was grand. Sunday, we had to start by finishing the meeting that we'd had from yesterday, the Saturday, which, while a good idea, wasn't what Lola had in mind as fun. No. She decided to do the potty dance, a very impressive rendition of the potty dance, and once outside, came back inside and pinned Daddy to the sofa. Meeting closed. Look at those paws, he couldn't move. She'll be quite heavy when she wants to, can't she?
She can.
And she's got that intense stare on her face of, no, you're not going anywhere. So he didn't. Then it was on to the football. It was supposedly the highlight of the day. Well, the closing ceremony was interesting. Yeah, interesting is the best word I can do for that. But for the first time in 55 years, we had actually got to a final of an important competition. We had beaten the Germans. We had beaten the Ukraine. We had beaten Denmark. Oh, our name was on the trophy. The only issue was...
We have drawn with Scotland.
We're drawn with Scotland, yeah. That's bad, isn't it? Because if we drew with Scotland, Scotland might actually have beaten Germany if they got through. All that stood in our way was Italy. Yeah, didn't end well. Just don't mention the football. To be honest, Monday was no better. Seriously. I did have to mention the footy, I know. But Monday, I was there was a hangover, let's put it like that.
Patricia said she's watched so many of your videos and she's thrilled to be here.
Oh, hello, Patricia. Good to have you with us. Well, I wasn't quite the slumbering little kitten, was I? No. One of us was. The other one was more grumpy than that. Very, very grumpy. So grumpy that I decided, that was possibly the worst it could ever get. So what could I do that was potentially worse than the football? Glad you asked. Attempt to install Catalina on a 2012 MacBook Air. Why not Biggles? Doesn't support it. Catalina's as far as it goes. Coincidentally, Catalina's as far as I go right now as well. So, I was that grumpy, I thought, well, what's the worst that could happen? We could lose the euro. We'd already done that. So, I decided to install it, and do you know what? It went really well.
Patience says, first time watching a live event, just discovered you and love your videos.
Oh, hello, Patience. What a lovely name. Good to have you with us.
I tried to install Biggles on my work laptop and it failed.
Love it. Wasn't that don't install Biggles on pain of death and then the edit came down?
Yeah,
You've
do
got to
install
install Biggles
Biggles,
by
yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
There's no middle ground with
No.
Mike. I'm telling you, no middle ground. So it installed fine. It came back to life. It was a wonder. By Tuesday, I was still a bit dizzy, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I hadn't really got started with the week as the recriminations rumbled on. And to be honest, Lola wasn't faring much better. A cat was psyching her out from a high perch behind a fence. Just, you know, cats, they can be very cute, but they've also can have really evil faces, can't they? And that one was giving Lola the eye, and Lola couldn't get to it. So she was distraught. So that took us on to Wednesday. Actually, this is a good point to mention this. Remember Ship 30 for 30 that I took on? It's writing a blog post, basically, or a short essay every day for 30 days, which seemed like a grand idea. I've written today's, haven't published it yet, and now I'm in the middle of a live show, so this is going to be very interesting. But I have continued apace and I am up to date. So it's day 21 today. Only 9 days left. I do hope you're following along. If you're a Mac user, today's is a revelation. Because Mike learnt something, didn't you? Was it just the one you didn't know about?
I think it was just the one, yeah.
I've got free Mac apps that are already installed for you, and Mike did not know one of them. That's success. Success. I outwitted Mike. So I'm going to have to post that essay, so I might actually do that in the middle of the show at this rate.
I know the Windows freebies like Card File and Solitaire.
You've missed Paint.
Paint
Was the highlight.
Paint's still there, I use it all the time.
If you want to read those essays, you'll find them all on Twitter, twitter.com/ElaineGiles. It's the pinned tweet at the top, or to be honest, it's all I've posted in the last 21 days. So just keep going back through the feed, and yeah, that's all I've done. I think I did retweet something about Poundland, but that was it. That's how interesting my life has become. Which took us to Thursday. Now, for the rest of this to have any meaning, for Thursday, you need to know that we always warn the country when we're going on holiday, because disaster is usually imminent. Seriously, over the years, there was a tsunami, there was a nuclear meltdown, and one example was we were off for a week and we decided we were going to a local town called Bury, only to find that all roads to Bury were closed as a sinkhole had opened up in the middle of the main road, right outside M&S. So, hold that thought. With that in mind, this is a road about half a mile from our front door, and yes, it does look remarkably like the start of a sinkhole. But, in true British fashion, don't call anybody till you've stuck the handle end of a garden fork down it to ascertain just how deep it is. Once we're left with only the prong, need to do something about that. Again, in totally British fashion, paint a circle round it and write hole next to it. You can imagine, can't you, Mike? They've actually sent out some workmen to draw around it and put a hole next to it. Why don't you send somebody out to actually fix it? There's a concept. So, having done that, I do suspect that rather bad words were said as the emergency services were called. Daub the paint round it. That'll solve the problem. And then the next British thing we do, hole, we've written round it, let's put some cones round it. That'd be good, we'll put some cones round it. All that'll happen is the cones will get stolen, which was when...
Or run over.
We then deployed two community service officers. Is that their name? Community service... CSOs? Yeah. CSOs, community service. They're not police, they just walk around looking like police. And they then decided that, it's a hole, and they had a look at it. Then we decided, these cones not going to be good enough. No. We do love our cones, Kim. We when on the motorway, whenever we went anywhere, it didn't matter when it was on the motorway, it was always like Cone City. And I always said, where do these cones live when they're not on the motorway? And we came to the conclusion that they didn't have anywhere to live, so they just moved about on the motorway. And I'm talking thousands and thousands of them. We do love cones. But this one was deemed to be...
grass?
Which grass am I looking at?
Where the yellow sort of barrier thing is by the bus stop.
Beside the bus stop.
Yeah, well, that's the park where we see Iggy.
That's why I said, Mike, don't. You know, I'm half asleep, and I said, Mike, don't go up Furs Road this morning. And he said, why? I said, don't ask, sinkhole. Literally don't. So Lola's Park is there, but she was banned from it today. No, Lola, not today. But we decided that that wasn't secure enough. So that is what it looks like when it's really, really serious. But you guys know from Conegate, outside our front door, how long that'll be. That'll be 7 weeks. Hopefully those houses will still be standing at the end of the 7 weeks, but who knows? Who knows? Oh, unbelievable. That was yesterday. Which brought me on to today, and today's been utterly chaotic. I've been running around like an idiot trying to get everything done. Hence, the essay is written but not actually published, and it got to be published by midnight. Adding to that, it's hot. Did we mention it's hot? Heading to 32 this weekend, which means it's probably going to be about 50 degrees inside, which will be in the hundreds in Fahrenheit. So yeah, grand. But we still had 2-show Friday. And it was a good week because they announced something that potentially could save us a bit of money. And who doesn't like that? It's called Microsoft Cloud PC, and little bits have been leaked out about it. There is a link. It is in essence what Parallels does, but instead of doing it locally, where you could have... You install this app called Parallels, and it allows you to install inside it a version of Windows or Linux, or even another version of macOS. So what Microsoft have done is introduce that concept, but the virtual machines live in the cloud. Ooh, that's got potential. Because the way Parallels works, you have to have a license for every machine that every Mac computer that you put the software on to access a virtual machine. It's a pain in the backside and expensive. But the way this works, there's one virtual machine in the cloud, and you access that from physical machines or devices. So it could even be your iPad, a Windows machine, a Mac, Linux, doesn't matter. Accesses it through a browser. I want to see how much this is. We do not know how much this is. It's going to be released on the 2nd of August, and it's part of what is called Microsoft 365, which used to be Office 365. Now, I can't see this being included for free, can you, Mike?
No.
No. I think it's going to be aimed possibly at the enterprise level. But things do trickle down like Microsoft Teams. There's now Teams... Is it Teams at Home or Teams for Families?
Families, I think.
So I can see a use for this, a great use for this. So if it's any cheaper than Parallels, it might be the way to go. It would be nice if they gave you like a pretty basic machine for free to have a test with and then see it. But the benefit of this is, because what you might think, well, once I've got that in the cloud, how do I get my software into it? And you literally do install software into it. So the software that I have on my Windows virtual machine is all of the Office suite, including Publisher, for the church newsletter, don't ask, long story. Scrivener, the Affinity apps. So all of those could be installed on this virtual Windows machine in the cloud. In theory, I have no idea how well this will work in practice, but... So Dee says, wait, so if I buy Parallels and put it on a Mac, and then the Mac breaks, you need to get a new one, do you need to buy another Parallels? No. You've got a license and it can be activated on one machine. But if you want to have your virtual machine accessible from 2 machines, then you have to have 2 licenses. You can't do the deactivate and reactivate multiple times. It doesn't like it. So what happened here was we had 2 Macs that were from 2017 and we got 2 new ones from 2020. And one went into the studio, which is the quietest room. Obviously, it's the studio. It's got soundproofing. And that's where we would record. So, particularly Mike with his Windows stuff, he needed a license in the studio, and he also needed a license for the machine in the office. So it is multiple machines. It's one machine per license. If you swap a machine, then you don't need parallels on the first machine. You don't need another license. You can use that license on the second machine. But they're very, very sniffy about activating it and deactivating it, which is a pain. I've done with one, so I only have one license. But then I don't tend to be doing tutorials on Windows, and Mike does. So no, you'd be okay there, Dee. What's the difference? Have I missed one here? How much is Parallels? Parallels is a subscription, so it's per year, and I think the full price is $79.99 per year. If you have an older version, and probably now less so, but I had an older version that I'd bought a perpetual license for, so they let me upgrade for, I think it was $36.99 a year, but it is an annual fee. So what Mike has to pay is $79.99 for the first license and $79.99 for the second license. So you have to pay per license per year. It's not a huge amount of money by comparison to a machine, but it's a lot considering it used to be a perpetual license and now it's not. Now it's annual. Right. What's this question about a NAS thing? Do I need to go further back than that?
No, I think Patricia's saying what's the difference between Microsoft Cloud and a NAS storage system.
Right, the cloud storage that Microsoft are talking about here, in fact, it's not really cloud storage. It's cloud access to a virtual machine. A NAS is a network-attached storage device. So what they're giving you that you wouldn't get from a NAS would be for storage. What they're doing here is providing more than just storage. It's the ability to run Windows on their server and pass back to you what the screen looks like with like a simple access protocol. So one of the concerns would be if you're trying to run Windows from the cloud, it's going to be really slow. But it's not running on your machine. Hence, you could access Windows from an iPad or a phone. All of the hard work is happening on Microsoft servers, and they are sending you back like a view of what the screen looks like, and you interact with that. So performance would be one of my issues, but it's actually a service that they're providing to enable you to do that, whereas a NAS is purely for storage. So you could put all your files on a NAS, but not actually run something like this, because there needs to be something in the cloud that enables it to work. So it's in the Microsoft cloud that they have got whatever technology is needed to make that work. I think it's something definitely worth looking at, because it would reduce the maintenance and stuff. So, but, you know, I'm thinking, and cost-wise, it could be quite expensive. I don't know. So 2nd of August, mark your calendars. We will check it. Why would you use Parallels? Right. Why would you use it? You don't need to use it if you've got a Mac and you're only using Mac OS. And you don't want to use any other version of Mac OS. And if you did, so say you wanted to use Big Sur or you wanted to use Monterey, you are prepared to install it. Now, the reason that I'm not prepared to install brand new operating systems is that I've probably got software that would break. So I want to give myself a little bit of time, but maybe I want to look at the new operating system. So what you can do with Parallels is you can make as many virtual machines as you like. They are, although we call them a virtual machine, they're in essence just a file, like anything else. It's like a Word file or an Excel file. It's just a file. It just happens to be a virtual machine. And what that enables you to do is open up this virtual machine that would be like a Mac with nothing on it. And you load into it the installer for whichever version of macOS you want to use, and it will create a machine within a machine for you to play with. So I think I did it with Mojave from Sierra. Remember we were on High Sierra and we didn't want to move to Mojave? I created a Mojave virtual machine. I could create a Big Sur virtual machine or a Monterey virtual machine. In fact, Paul in Ohio has done just that. he has access to the developer edition of Monterey, and was like, I don't really want to install it because I daren't break anything. And I said, well, why don't you do it in Parallels? So he's created a virtual machine and he's put this developer version on it. So he has a stable machine to work with, but if he's going in and looking at the new features or testing something, he can open up this machine. So that's if you want to use Mac OS. I have a need to use Windows once a week. One job, publisher. So I have a virtual machine that has Windows 10 on it. It's got Office 365 on it. And every week when the church newsletter comes in, I crank up the VM and I load the file onto the desktop of the VM and I open up Publisher, but I'm sat at my Mac. It's a virtual machine, not a physical machine. It also does Linux and maybe some other stuff that I don't know, but those are the three that I use. So that's what you would use it for.
According to this,
yeah,
Microsoft will have several pricing options, and they've inadvertently revealed one option, which is $31 per user per month.
That's going to be the expensive one though, isn't it? Because it's talking per user.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling it's going to be more expensive than Parallels, but I would be interested to see. Because I think it's something, if they made that available, they might tempt Mac users, you never know. When the Mac users get really peeved, you never know. Okay, hopefully I've got all the questions. If I haven't, I did not deliberately miss them, but do let me know. Wasn't there a question last week I needed to deal with, but I don't see Doc in at the moment. If you're in, Doc, let me know in the chat, and then Mike can dig the question out and I can answer it. Okay, so that's coming on the 2nd. Oh dear, Tracy, 240p. There's always one, and this week, Tracy, it's you. Right, Affinity Publisher. Oh, your favourite. And it's the MacBites Advent Calendar layout. Right, what we're doing with this is, you know that we have MacBites the book. That's part of, that was one of the items on the agenda for the meeting. We're making a list of what content we're going to put in it and what we're not going to have time to add. Now, for many years, I think 2012 was the first year we did it, we've done an Advent promotion every year. Hello, Santosh. Not seen you for ages. 8 months. Good grief. Good to have you back. Right, so we've done the Advent calendar thing. I think it started in 2012, and we've done it every year, and it's fun. It's a mail every day from the 1st of December to Christmas. We used to say Christmas Eve, but we tend to put something in special in on Christmas Day. And what I'm going to do in the book is actually explain the history of it, where it came from, how it's morphed and what we do now. But to do that, I need a layout. Okay, so that's the plan. And when I say that's the plan, yeah, that's the plan. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm not actually going to start, believe it or not, where's Vivaldi gone? I'm not actually going to start in Affinity Publisher. No, that would be cheating. Right, what I'm going to do is we're going to go and head off to Adobe Elements. No, we're not Adobe Elements. Elements.envato.com is where we're heading off. Now, this is where I get my assets because I have a subscription. But I have an alternative coming up, so that's less than $20 for exactly the same system. So what I did here was I knew I wanted a layout that was Christmassy. And I didn't just want to do that by putting a colour on it and saying, well, you know, there you go, and there's a bauble, right? So having thought about it, I thought, I know what I need. I need a scene creator. Now, this is a thing in design. Let me know. Have you used scene creators? So first thing I do is look up scene creators. And it will give me a range of scene creators. Now, what it does in Envato Elements is it separates them by the type or the category of item. So we've got 4 videos that say they're scene creators, video templates, graphic templates, graphics, photos. So I would suspect here, looking at these, it's either going to be graphics templates or graphics, looking at them. So I think it's going to be graphic templates. So I'm going to say see more on the graphics templates. Now, these usually, where they came from originally, was to create what's called a hero header. And a hero header is at the top of a website page. So if we go to MacBites, we have a hero header. In fact, we have several, and they're on a carousel. So here we have Welcome to MacBites, but there's 3 things going on here. So as you move across, we've got here the latest shows, and then we've got We're Going Live. And each one of these has a different hero header. So if we go to newsletter, there is a sign up and there is a hero header for it. So traditionally that is what a hero header has been. But then came along these scene creators where you can create a fantastic header for something piece by piece. So Patricia's saying, I create my own assets in Procreate. Do I use Procreate? You love the templates. I do use Procreate, not as much as I use other stuff, I'll be honest. But I do use it. So think of a graphic like that. That is actually called a hero header. If you go on Apple and you see a header like that and you would to save the file, it would be called hero header. So that's what initially they were used for. But as you look at these things, the layouts now are really broad for what they look like. And what I want in the book is a double page spread that's Christmassy, that I can put some proper text on, because I'm going to put text on it where it's the story of, where the advent calendar idea came from and what we do with it now. So there's going to be text on it, but I want it to be really highly designed in terms of I want it to look very Christmassy. Okay, so we've got device scene creators. I might want to put like some AirPods in it or something like that, but keep going. You can be more specific when you type in scene creator. So for example, you've got one there for games and it's got things like Rubik's Cubes and aeroplanes and all kinds of stuff in it, but very, very gamey as you look at it. Keep going. There's a mobile desktop. Now this one that's an interior design, I could swap out that thing at the back for a MacBites poster. Okay, so don't rule out any of these at this stage. If you're doing things about recipes, there's a kitchen scene creator. And that one actually says hero header image creation. So these are kits that you can download. Now you can get some that are free. These are part of Envato and these aren't free. But as I say, I'm going to give you some alternatives. So without filtering it down for anything in particular, there's lots of these to go at.
Could you use a hero header in a Squarespace website? Absolutely
no reason why not at all. All you'd need to know is what size it should be, and then you can crop it down from these. So we've got a holiday mock-up creator. We're almost at Christmassy there, aren't we? But things like these 3, which is the display mock-up creator, the desktop mock-up creator, another desktop one, these are all made up of individual components that come in the kit. And it doesn't have to look like that. So if you wanted a different computer, or you wanted a different poster, or you wanted a different light, or even a different chair and table, you can do that because it's a kit that you are downloading. This one next to it will show you just in what way we mean kit. This is actually the stationery mock-up creator, and what this is just an entire collection of individual pieces that you can then either place where you want to place it, or you can edit them further and change them completely. You may decide that you quite like this table one, but you want some stuff off that, or you like the desk on that one better than this one. So with Envato Elements being a subscription, I can download as many as I want and then do a hybrid thing. And as I say, there are free ones as well. So what I'm looking for is actually a flat one, really, for the Christmassy one. But what I did was I downloaded, so if I put in Scene Creator and get more specific, so let's put Christmas in. Oh, Carol likes the one with the coloured pencils. Right, if I put Christmas in, I get some Christmas scene things. Any one of these would be absolutely fine for what I'm looking for. I'd say the first one is more what I had in mind, but that one there with all the Christmas presents around it, not bad either. But this was the one that I actually downloaded. That was one that I downloaded. I've actually downloaded 2, so I'm just going to whip back in my downloads and see what the other one was. It was a workspace mock-up. So one of the ones I've downloaded is this Happy Christmas one. Let's change Christmas for workspace. And that is the second one that I downloaded. So they're 2 very different ones. This one, everything's at an angle. So there's scissors on the table, there's plants behind it and all kinds of stuff like that. But it's front on. It would work in Affinity Publisher, no problem at all. But in Affinity Publisher, I kind of had this idea of looking top down onto it, which is what this one looks like when it says Sketch Scene Creator. It's looking top down onto it. If you think about these devices, again, you're going top down on it. But there's so many of these available, and you can mix and match to such a degree, it really doesn't matter which one you choose to start with. But I have downloaded that one, and I have downloaded the other one. So if I just whip back there, which was the one that Carol liked? This pencil-y one here. We could do that another week if you like. That's not a bad idea. Right.
How would you describe Envato Elements?
Envato Elements is a stock site. It works in two different ways.
Patricia's asking.
It works in two different ways. You can either buy an individual item from the Envato marketplace, or you can subscribe to Envato Elements, and that gives you two things. It's a monthly subscription. I think it's £14.99 a month. But each one of these... I'll see the idiot with the bikes back again. I don't know how much you can hear that. Right, is it Graphic River? Graphic River, something like that. That's PowerPoint presentations. But this is Envato Marketplace. So if I wanted in the graphics in here, I'm going to pay individually in here. So I'm in the graphics and I want a scene creator, Christmas. Let's see what's available. Did I spell Christmas right? I did. Right. That looks very, very similar. And that single mock-up creator is $14. I can download 20 of those from Envato Elements for just $14.99 a month. So that's why I pay for Elements. But you have got the opportunity, if you do only want one and you don't want to mix and match, you could do it that way. But if you look at these... and
even I use Elements.
Can you use Elements?
I said even I use Elements.
Yes, even Mike uses Elements. The idea with this is, so that one there is like kind of thing I might choose. It's a bit dark for me, to be honest. But if we look at it, that's $10 on its own. So that's why I go the other way. That is the single maker purchase via Envato Marketplace. But the way that I go is Envato Elements, which is a subscription service, but it offers a lot more than just images. It's not just photographs. If you look across the top, you've got stock video, video templates, music, sound effects, graphics templates, graphics, presentation templates. And the presentation templates, just as an example, are utterly, utterly stunning. No, we were past that one. Where's the presentations? Here you go. So say you're looking for a presentation, you probably have to be more specific. Let's say I want to do some infographics. Infographics. It will come up with all of these, and because I'm subscribed, I can download all of them if I want, until I find one that suits. So let's say in this book, I'm going to give some statistics, and I want a nice way to do it. It doesn't matter that this is a PowerPoint file. That'll do nicely. And I can take those graphics out of there and put them in Affinity Publisher, which is what I do. So for me, it's more than cost effective, but your mileage may vary. It depends on how much stuff you use. But we use it for sound effects, for MacBites, video stuff. And, you know, I remember not that long ago trying to do demonstrations when you didn't have access to stock images. And it was like you had to go out and take a picture. If you wanted a picture of a horse, you had to go find a horse and take a photo. Now I can use all of these for demos and courses as well. So that's what Envato Elements is, and that's the way that I actually use it. So let's get rid of that, and we were here. So I've downloaded the two that I'm going to use to show you the principles of how these actually work. But as we go through the book and I create layouts for different elements of the book, I will probably use some of these others and show you how they work as well. So I have two of them downloaded. Here they are. What you download is the zip file. So I've downloaded that one, and I've unpacked them. So then I get folders like this. So I'm going to start with what a mock-up is, and then we will actually do this scene creator, and then we'll move on to the Christmas one. So in here, this is the kind of thing that you get. You will usually get instructions of some description. And that's because the way that these things work is not necessarily intuitive. It's you've got things nested inside things and inside other things and nested again. So there will usually be some kind of instructions. This one is quite short, to be honest, but it does say the important thing in this one, and you'll notice that they're all Photoshop files as well. But that's fine. Affinity can read Photoshop files. The PNGs are fine, but they're not going to give you the level of customization that a PSD would. Now, what he does tell you here, which is interesting, is that the yellow are the customizable parts, the orange is the item shape, and the grey is the shadow. But that presupposes that you've got Photoshop, because I don't think those colours come into it. But that's it for the instructions. So I will show you what else you've got. It's split into two different categories of contents. So we've got the tables. So when you open the tables, you have a JPEG and a PSD of each table. So I'll skip through it moving two at a time because the JPEG will load faster. But there's a table, and all of the elements that are in the other folder you would be able to put on that table. Or that table. Or that table. So you've got these different options when it comes to actually laying this stuff out. And remember that what this one is a front-on view. It's not the top-down view. That one's quite nice. I could work with that. So office desk, hold on to that, because I definitely wouldn't have that. That wouldn't match anything in the office. And I don't want something as small as that. Don't really want a shelf, but there are shelves there. That's not a bad one. That's the kind of desk I could work with. So that's not bad. Or there's just a table with a white background. That one's quite freeing as well in terms of it's a bland start, and you can then change that to whatever you want. Or a wooden one. So, going back up, there was an office one, wasn't there? That one. That's not bad. Shall we start with that one? Is there something similar in Canva? Oh, that's an interesting question, Renee. Not exactly the way that this works, no. Canva can do a lot, but it doesn't have a dedicated space for doing scene creation. No, not yet. Might do, though. Might do. Right, let's use that one. So I'm not going to open it in Photoshop. I do have Photoshop installed, so if I double click it, it will. But no, I will open this in Affinity Photo. So while it has a think about that are the table items that are included with this. But also included with this, we have items. And they're in two formats. So we have a range of PNG items, and we have the same items as PSDs. Now you might be wondering, and JPEGs, why are they up here in folders when down here they're not? And that's because when we actually look at these, they look like a preview. They're all the items together. So all the different lights, chairs, you name it. They are together. So that's the back and foreground. And you've got food, nature, clothing and sports in that group. And down here you've got frames. So all of these are included. The JPEG is just a preview. So if we take the top one, you've got the back and the foreground. You've got a dartboard, for example. You have a folder of PNGs that are exactly the same. So when you open them, each element that was together in the other one is a separate element in here as a PNG. But as I've said, despite the fact they're transparent, you're not going to be able to do as much with a PNG as you would with a Photoshop file. So for instance here, we've got the background there with a shadow, and then we've got the item. If you want that item to have the shadow, you're going to have to use both copies of it. So while PNGs are fine for previewing, I personally wouldn't be using them. I'd be looking at the Photoshop files down here. So what else have we got? We've got gadgets and entertainment, so I'm definitely going to want to put an iMac on my desk, aren't I? And then we've got what I would call detritus. I don't particularly want any of that, but it's there. Oh, I might have a bear. Or maybe Rudolph. But that's what you've got. So what I would tend to use are the PSDs. So we'll look at that when we see what we've got. So in here, we've opened this up, and we have the whole thing. And instead of it just being a background, everything on here can be turned on and off as well. So if you decide you like that background, but you don't like the table, then you can get rid of the table. The table itself, you can drill into it. So this one here is showing you just the top bit, but down there you've got the table. You've got the shadow on the wall, so you can take the shadow over the desk away from the wall. You've got the floor shadow. It's subtle, but it's there. It makes it look more realistic. But because it's in separate layers, you can edit that to your heart's content. So if you think it's a bit dark, or let's say underneath the table, one of the trends at the moment is to put a light under the table, isn't it? Like a light that changes colour. So you could do that as well. But this is your starting point with that. And if you wanted to make changes to the background, you can do that as well. So everything is separate. We have the baseboard. We actually have the wall. You could swap the wall. And we've even got the floor. So everything is there. You can tweak it if you want. And that's why that is better than a PNG. Right, so we've got a lovely starting point. The next thing that we need to see is in here. Oh, shall we start with the gadgets? I've got to have the gadgets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to open that up in Affinity Photo. So it doesn't make a jot of difference that these are Photoshop files, not a jot of difference. It will take a few seconds to open because it is quite big. It's a big file. And each one of these is a totally separate item. So we've got multiple cameras for a start. So the trick in here is, if you make sure that you've got the pointer tool. So usually when it goes in, it has the hand tool. And you need the move tool. And the move tool will enable you to click on any one of these items. And they are totally separate from the background. And you can then copy them. Now, what's happening over here is it's moving through the layers list. But look what's next to each and every one of these. It says embedded document. So each of these, while they are in this file, they are also an independent document in their own right, embedded in this file. So let's have a look further down. I would probably have a mouse, wouldn't I? I might want to take a mouse, and that looks like some kind of mouse pad. Gaming stuff, not a clue, leave it alone. But then we've got some devices here, just lay on the table. So we've got those. Keyboard, not a Mac keyboard, but a keyboard. Then we've got some computers. Keep going, and I should find my iMac. There we go. So each of these, totally independent. So if I click on that one, I do have a question with that, to be honest, unless there's something in there. This and this are the same. So both those iMacs should be the same, which begs the question why that one's got a camera on it and that one hasn't. That's interesting. But I probably do want a straight on one for what I want here. So it couldn't be easier to get this out of here and put it in the other one. In fact, you don't even have to delete it from here. You just copy it. So I have copied that just by copying it. I have a button to do that, but edit copy is what you need, and it's copied. I then go back to this one and paste. And there's my iMac. I'll admit it's floating in the middle of nowhere, but it's my iMac. And it's a bit big. Oh, maybe it's the new one for Kim. Kim, like I, wants a big iMac. You know, 48 inches would be absolutely fine. Need to knock a wall down, but, you know, small price to pay. So you are going to have to, if you want to make this look realistic, you know, have a look at this and think, is that realistic for the size of that iMac? And, you know, is it too far back because now it's floating in the middle of nowhere? Maybe I want it there. The benefit of doing that, and you probably would get away with that being a little bit bigger, but not too big, is that looks about perfect. You've got a shadow on the back of that, and if I zoom in, you've got another shadow you might not even notice, which is this shadow underneath. But you would sure notice if I turned it off. You absolutely would notice if I turned that off. So what's happened here is I pasted it and it stuck it in the table. And I want it above the table. It's not inside the table, it's sitting above it. But you'll see that whereas these can open and I can turn off wall shadow and thing, I can't with that monitor. There's no way that... I personally think that shadow is a bit dark. But it's not an option. There's no disclosure triangle for me to make a change with it. None at all. That's unfortunate. I'd like to be able to do that. But it's an embedded document. So if you've ever heard of the Photoshop side of doing this, you will have heard the term smart object. Well, I have no idea, unless it's a copyright issue, why Affinity don't call these smart objects. They call them embedded documents, and it undersells them grossly. Because if I double click on the thumbnail here, it opens up this file. individually. So now I'm just dealing with the iMac. And there's two reasons that I would want to do that. One, that I would want to make a change to it. So I can now unfurl it and I can now see that I've got the shadow and I can toggle that on and off. And it's actually toggling on and off both elements of the shadow. This one that's the shadow of the body of the computer and at the front with the very thin one there that makes it look like it's sat on the desk and not floating above it. Okay. But you can go even more granular than that. It has what it calls big shadow, which is the big one off the body of it, totally separate from the drop shadow underneath. So in here with this big shadow, its opacity is 40%, but I'm thinking that's a bit dark. But in terms of granular control, I can take that down to 20 really easily. But I have to go into the embedded document to do it. What's the other thing I'd want to do in this embedded document? It also begs the question, why is that a bit dodgy at the top? But what else would I be doing in here? Something that we have actually looked at and demoed before. And that is, you don't want the Mac sat on your Hero header with a dark screen like it's turned off. But you have the option here to create a custom design. And what it's talking about is the screen on the computer. So you have the word replace next to this. That's what you need to replace if you want to put a custom design on it. Now, I would love to tell you that I was that organised that we have a MacBites thing. We probably do, but you know what? Let's just make one. So all of my assets are in Affinity Designer for MacBites. If you remember, we created assets and the assets live in here. These are my MacBites assets, but they're not in photo. So best thing I can do is export these assets and put them on the desktop. There we go. No, they're not untitled. Come on, get with the program. They're the MacBites ones. Right, so that's... Did that say documents or did that say desktop? Oh, make sure they're in the right place.
Patricia says, could you drag the object in the assets folder and re-drag it into the document and it changes?
I don't know. We could try that. Did that actually... I did. There it is. Awesome. It's in the right place. Let's sort this out first and then we'll have a look at that. Right, so somewhere in here I've got photo. And what I want to do in photo is bring in those assets. So I'm going to import from the desktop, when it's had a little think about it, the MacBites assets. And remember what we're looking at here. This is the monitor. This is the monitor screen. So MacBites is usually has a black background. We actually do have a black background there, don't we? How far have I gone in here? Let's just make that one black. I have no idea. Is that... Good grief, what's it doing? Oh, no, it's there. Awesome. Right, so I should be able to make that black then, or any other colour. Why is it not changing colour? Never mind. I'm going to make one that I can repurpose. So I'm going to draw this out, and this is going to be MacBites wallpaper. And this is why I have all of these assets available for use like this. So it's really quick if I want to do something like that. And that's about right. We're going to need MacBites on it. Where should we put MacBites? Sometimes I put it down there, quite small. But we've got a lot of black space there, haven't we? So another way to do it is right across the top. Don't want them to be in under any misapprehension of where they actually are. And that could do with being moved down and over there a bit. That'll do. That will do. So close that down, and now it has a screen. And it doesn't have to be something that you've drawn like that. It could be a photo, could be a screenshot that you've taken. And it's showcasing it nicely on there. So, next thing to do, you can go back and get more stuff. So I don't particularly need to look at that anymore. I'm much happier that that's 20% of a shadow and not 40. Looks much better. And I can go back to my gadgets and see if there's any more gadgets that I would like to add. There was a mouse here, wasn't there? Yeah, I do use a mouse, so I'll probably take a mouse on and stick a mouse on there. Now, obviously, he's going to have to come way up the list there. And he's a bit big. That's a big rodent, isn't it? Let's take that down a bit. That actually looks like my mouse. And I think there was a keyboard, but it's not a Mac keyboard. But it'll do. I need something. So we'll take that keyboard. We'll use that. Doesn't really matter. It's the principle of the thing. So do try and get the sizing about right. So I'll put that so it's over the leg. We don't want it overhanging at the front. So it's over the leg, and we've got a mouse next to it. Right, that's okay for gadgets and stuff. I could keep adding gadgets, obviously. We could add iPads and things. And again, bring it to the top of the list. Not there. Up the list. That'll do, I think. Yep, that'll do. Obviously, that's the 17-inch one that I've been after for a while, clearly. And that is also going to have a way that you can drill into it. So it's an embedded document. So drill into it and unfurl, and you're going to find custom design. Where's the one to change? There. And if you change that, you'll change the screen on the iPad. Right, so we got those items. Gadgets, okay. Gadgets done. What we now need, and I don't need to save any of that, but what we now need is... should we do a potted plant? Because I'm never going to do a potted plant, am I? Right, food, nature and clothing. Here's hoping that this includes a potted plant. If not, I'll have to go and get a potted plant. Go on, you know you want to open. Oh, it does, right. Let's have one of these. Something that wouldn't live here for 5 seconds. How about that one? Pretty colours. Right, and stick that. That's almighty big, isn't it? Oh, it's a Triffid. Right, it's going to need to be considerably smaller than that and brought on here. Like that. But let's say Mike bought me a flower. He did actually, didn't you? But he very sagely bought one that was guaranteed to last for a year, no matter what you did to it. And it has. Okay, so we've got that on it. If it's a proper hero header, what people tend to do is not just leave it at that. I think that's a bit low to put a lamp on, but what have we got on here? We did have lamps, didn't we? There we go. There's the lamp. So I'm opening up another one of those files that came from the items folder. And this one has got foreground and background things on it. And what it means by that is these like lights. You could actually have one of these lights hanging down. So those look like the 1970s lights. Now obviously it's far too big, but again, take it down. And you could just have like a light hanging down like that. Now I don't think on that one that makes that much sense. That light is far too small for that. So probably for this particular piece of artwork, it would be better to choose a different type of lamp. So that one, for instance, although it might well be the wrong colour, you could have that maybe hanging in from the side. Again, it's too big. But that's why those are the only lamps that come with this kit. That's why I have multiple kits. I'll find a lamp in another one that will work perfectly in here. The other reason that it's called foreground and background is because you might want to have a chair that you use with it. So you can actually pop a chair in front of it. Again, that's far too big. Just make it look like it fits, but then it does look like a mock-up of a desk. And when you think what you started with, so that isn't what I want for the book, but that's one thing that you can do with it, looking straight on here. Right, what I actually want to do with it is I want one looking from the top down. So I'm going to leave that one open and show you in here what I had with the second one. And the second one was the Christmas mock-up creator. Now you've got a little bit more in here, but you do start with the user manual, just like everything else. This one's a little bit more detailed. So this one actually shows you the items that you've got, and then it gives you some examples of what you could create with it. And this is why these mock-up kits are a far better idea when it comes to creating artwork for yourself, because you buy one of these, or you get a subscription to Envato, whichever way you want to work. But look at how many different things you can make from one kit, because you're going to have different backgrounds, and then you're going to have different items, but you can mix and match the items depending on what you want. So it shows you again how to use it, but the instructions will be for Photoshop. But as you can see, I am not using Photoshop to edit these smart objects. You can edit smart objects inside Affinity Photo. Although before I forget, because I know our regulars will know this, but there's a trick to it. If you try doing it and it doesn't work, you need to turn on this option here, which is import PSD smart objects where possible. By default, that's turned off. No, I don't know why either. But you need to make sure that that is ticked on. And once you've done it, it stays ticked on. So the second you install Affinity Photo, make sure that that tick is in that box. Otherwise, none of that will work.
Debbie wants to know if she can get the links to the scene creators you're using.
You certainly can, and I'm going to show you one that I've actually literally just purchased. It wasn't available in Envato, so I bought it. And it's got something like 2,800 items, and that's the one I will be using. I'll show you
in shortly.
Yeah, I'll show you that probably next week. But we're doing the basics of what these things are to start with, and then I'll show you what an almighty kit looks like. Think of this as the little box with, 5 pieces of Meccano in it. And next week we'll have the crate with 3,000 pieces of Meccano in it and show you how we can work with that. But again, like I say, you've got your instruction book. That one's pretty decent. That one's nice. Showing you literally just what I've shown you, just drag and drop scene creation. And then how the thing hangs together and it works, and how to edit it by putting shadows on it, etc. So nice guide, but we don't need that, do we? We're looking now at what we've actually got here. So there is the scene creator, which is a Photoshop file, and you can see it's the background and not much else. Then we've got some quotes, which most of these files that you download, don't panic if you preview them like I'm doing and they're blank. The reason they do that is they put a white square over the top so it previews faster, or at least doesn't slow the thing down by making, I don't know if you know how this works, but when you're in Photoshop, it makes a thumbnail view. It makes a preview. And if that preview has got like millions of pixels on it, it really slows the thing down. So what they do is just put a white square on the top, and then it doesn't slow it down at all. So that's why it's blank. Then we got some Christmas mock-ups. So these are the items that we're going to be putting on. So if you imagine this as a book, you'll be looking down on these. Then we've got Christmas decorations, so we'll definitely include some of those. Oh, there's some biscuits. Awesome. And there's the bauble I threatened you with. So there'll be a bauble as well. You've also got up here background textures. So these are just JPEGs for you to work with. If you want one of these as a background, I definitely don't want that one as a background. It looks like the garden shed. I'd probably go for something that's either plain or Christmassy. Even the dark one might be quite nice. Now, the thing is with these you can use anywhere. The trick's going to be, how on earth do you manage all of this stuff and remember that you've got it and remember where it is? That'll be the trick. But you've also got in here ready-made scenes. So if it's just I need a scene and I need it now, then you've got some ready-made ones. And you can use these and edit them. So that's the one with the black background, and that actually looks quite nice, doesn't it? If I change that text to be MacBites Advent Calendar, that would just probably totally work without doing any work at all. I thought that one maybe, but change the text from Happy New Year. Love the feather thing. Love it. I'm probably not going to put that in a book. It's a bit dark. That one's not bad. You could definitely get away with that one. And of course you can move all these around. So these are the ones that they've put together just to give you an idea of how it actually works. That's more me, isn't it? Only not the gold iPad. That's your mother's. But there you go. There's the made up ones. So what I'll do with this one is open that. I'm not going to open it with Photoshop. Never ends well. Right, we're open. So what it's got is the background information here and textures and all kinds of stuff, and it's telling you to place the items there within that. And that's because there's 2 different lighting setups on this. It's going to be very subtle on YouTube, but you see you've got different lighting, so you can toggle that lighting off, and the lighting needs to be above the items that you place on it. So that's the scene that it gives you, and then you start working with it. So let's go get, where's the Finder gone? Let's go get some of these items. So what shall we start with? Shall we start with those? Yes, let's bring some of these in. So again, I'm just going to open it up in Affinity Photo. And if you don't have Affinity Photo, if you only have Affinity Designer, it will work almost as well in there. Right, so we've got some items here. Where are they? Scene Creator. Oh, it's thinking about it. There we go. Because no, that's not the one. It's still thinking about it. These are huge files, obviously, because they've got multiple items in them. It stopped thinking about it, but I don't see it actually opened. Oh, well, there we go. So can you see it looks quite blurry? It's loading that in, and there's thousands of items in it, and it's huge. So that's why. There is an update coming to Affinity that allows millions and millions of layers and stuff, so that sounds good down the line. So for this one, what shall we have? What shall we put in there? Let's start putting some prezzies in there. So that's a gift box. So I'm copying it, and I am not going up there. I think we've managed to crash it. Oh, we did! Congratulations. Yeah, we should have a sound effect for that, shouldn't we? If I managed to crash it. This is probably because they're Photoshop files, and probably because they're so huge, and probably because I didn't close the others, did I? So let's open the recovery file and see what it makes of it. It's having a think. Yep, I didn't lose that, even though I didn't save it. I probably should save it, shouldn't I? It's the Office desk, so I could actually just save that. Oh, it's not going to like it because it's Photoshop file, so it's going to want to save it as an Affinity file. So I'll just let it save it as an Affinity file and see where we were at. So, are these all the ones I had before and not the ones I'm actually looking for? Probably. Yes, they're not. Right, let's close these down. Now it's found them all. Let's close them down and start again. Do you remember that Flash demo, Mike? Flash crashed about 20 times. It was hideous. Right, Christmas Scene Creator. Open with Affinity Photo. So we got our items. We just need the background now. There's the background. So I want to put the items in there. Do not crash again. No, come on. Right, I wanted to copy that, didn't I? And it's severely thinking about that, but it's done. And it's pasted in. So I will then make that whatever size I actually want to. So I would probably want it quite small. Yes, I know it did. I know. About an hour ago. So can you not dog bother me now with it? So I start putting items in. I go choose the items and I build this up. But bearing in mind I'm building this up as like a background item. So I'm looking top down on it. So shall we have this? Is this a biscuit box? Oh no! Well, the theory's there, isn't it? It worked with the first one. It's just not liking it now. What do we do about that? I would say, what I would probably do with it is give in and open it in Photoshop. But I appreciate not everybody's got Photoshop and that's crashing. It's crashing because it's so big. So one thing that we could do with it, it didn't save that time, did it? If I paste that in, it should paste in a gift box. Awesome, that'll do. But not above the lighting. It needs to be below the lighting. So it needs to be placed in there. And it's disappeared again. Right, let's place that in there. Inside there. So my item's inside there. Have you disappeared now? Oh, it doesn't like being in there. Yeah, I know. We all know. So if you could stop telling us, that would be grand. Why has it disappeared? It shouldn't have disappeared. Let's put it at the same level. There we go. So probably have that hanging off. So what I'd be very careful with this thing now is I would actually save that. And then I would try and copy it piece by piece. So it could be my clipboard extender. We don't know. We don't know. Could be anything. But let's try it again. Let's do a copy. And it's crashed again. So clearly there is an issue with this file. Isn't it good? But you get the idea. So what I would be looking to do with it is find the items that I want to put on this page. So what I'm going to do, I will open that file again and we'll attempt to get something out of it, which I probably have. But it's not saving it, have you noticed? Oh, it's been very naughty. Right, I'm going to have to report that, I think, to Affinity because it shouldn't be doing that. But in essence, I'm looking down from the top and what I'm going to want that to say in the middle is some big text in it that says, you know, MacBites Advent layout. So far we've looked at it in Affinity Photo, but that's not actually what I want to do with it. So I want Affinity Publisher, and I want to do, yes, we know, third time lucky and all of that. I want to do an entire layout with it. So I'll create the layout, I'll put the background on, and I will put a couple of items on it. But do bear in mind that because of an issue that I had earlier, which I will explain to you in a couple of minutes, this is a substitute file. And the substitute file's not behaving well, is it? Right, come on, Affinity Publisher, there you are. Right, so if you remember, MacBites the book, we'll do a new layout, and I can always import it. MacBites the book was an A4 thing in size. I did prefer embedded because I'm going to be juggling with files. I'm going to do it as 12 pages so you get the idea for the layout. So I'm just going to say create there. Okay. I know, how dare they not behave? What can I say? Right. Oh, that's weird. I did not expect that. We were not expecting that to open sideways. No. That's because no, that was right. It should have been that one. Go on. Behave yourself. Right. So there would be a front cover, and this layout will go somewhere inside it. So, first thing I need to do, if this is going to be the layout, I'm going to start the text on the right-hand side. So I'm going to need text boxes and things on the right-hand side. But what's the thing I need to do first? So we've been through this a good few times, but you tell me, what's the thing that I would need to do first before I do any of this? So what I'm doing over here is finding one of these files and a texture. Did we use the white one? I think we did, didn't we? I think we did. So I've got a texture that I can bring on, and you can see the size of that. So I'm going to scoot that down so I've got more texture that I can see. Like that. Bring the whole thing in so I can see it. There are other things I should probably be thinking about right now, which is I'm squaring this up and putting it on here. Should it be a template? Oh, master page setup indexes, master pages, all kinds of stuff. The master page possibly, because I do think this is going to end up being more than one page. In which case, I might want, now that's the right size, copying it's probably going to be a bit of a nightmare, but you know what, let's do it anyway. Right, I might want to create a master page with that and make it my Christmas master. So that's one thing that I can do. So let's put Christmas. We do want it facing, all of the rest of that is absolutely fine. That's the master. I'm now on the master. I'm going to paste that onto it, which means down here, I don't need to put that on however many pages I'm going to have. So yes, we've got a master. We can apply the Christmas master, and now we can work without moving that in the background, because if it was on this page and it wasn't locked, we'd be moving it. So that's great. Is there anything else? Oh, a mind map. A mind map for the content. Absolutely, Ignacio. Absolutely. And we do have that. Indexes would be for the content. And the content is probably the least important thing at this stage, because that's going to fit into the text blocks when I've finished. But just for the fact that I have called this a layout or a spread, autosave, that's a good idea. That is set on, Renee. Yeah, at least it recovered that file. No, what I'm thinking is there's something that we've done before when we've done documents, and we usually start on the right-hand side, the recto page. But in this one, the left-hand page is going to be part of the spread, isn't it? And what's that in a document? When I say a spread, what do we call that in the document? Even before, there's no right and wrong order to this, but given that what I'm creating is a chunk of a file, I would have thought it would be a good idea in the document to have a look at the section manager, because at the moment this is all one almighty section, and I would want this bit to be the Christmas section, wouldn't I? So I can go in and create a new one, and it says pages 2 to 12, and it could well be 2 to 12. I don't know, but at the moment it'll do. And I can give it a section name, so I can call it Christmas. Or actually, it's Advent, isn't it? It's the Advent thing. And I would want this to start, well, where do I want it to start? Now that's tricky, isn't it? In this case, it probably doesn't matter. And this page will have some kind of content on, but it'll probably be a header. So I'm quite happy for it to start on 2 because this is going to go in another file. Oh, I see we're discussing Renee and Renee's issue. Discard changes. Never. Turn it off, Renee. Turn it off. Right, so we've got that and we've got it in a section. Right, the next thing is to start just building it up in exactly the same way as we did in photo without the crashes. So if we could do it without the crashes, that would be grand. So let's go into photo. And I'm not sure if we had that on the clipboard or not, possibly. There you go, bye-bye. Off it went. But I think it copied it first. Handy. So I can put that on here and start building up the bit that I want over here, which is just a top-down view of anything Christmassy, come Adventy, come anything else that works. I'm going to try something. Why not? Why not? We can do that. Let's just open this and let's see if it crashes in here. If it doesn't crash in Photoshop, it's an Affinity issue and I'll have to send the file off to Affinity. Because we don't want to live in here, do we? Which one should we have? How about that one? Oh, Lord, how does this work? I've not used it in years. It's in here somewhere. Right, gift box. Yes, we know you did. Gift box, gift box. Which one's this? Which gift box are you? I don't even see you being highlighted. Why have they moved all the tools in here just to annoy me? There's a load of stuff in here that isn't actually lighting up, is there? Everything's there. Let's go inside. Oh, not even seeing that. Oh, hang on. No, that's right. That's right, and it's not doing it. So we're not copying it from there anytime soon, even though I'm pushing all the right buttons. I would love to know if that crashed. Bump toy. Don't know. No, it didn't. Right, so that needs going to Affinity because it's crashing and it shouldn't be because it's not crashing in there. And I've no idea what that would paste in there. But what we can do is we can cheat slightly, can't we? Because we've got problems. No, actually, we can't. We can't because these don't give you a PNG version, which would have solved a problem. But what I will do in here, I would be adding more of these, and maybe that's an idea. Let's add a couple more of those and rotate them so they look a bit different. Although then that upsets the shadow, doesn't it? But we could turn the shadow off. It's far too dark anyway. Let's lose the shadow or make it a lot less. And we're not even being allowed to do that, are we? Curious. Right, so I'm building it up on this left-hand side and I want to put some text in it. So the text that I need to put in it is going to be artistic text, and it is the MacBites Advent Calendar. Obviously, we don't want it to look like that. It needs to look more Christmassy. So let's pop that in and make it bigger. And what I want to do is then surround the text with all Christmassy, Adventy things, like little train sets, etc. and find something that works, which probably wouldn't be the Indiana Jones font, would it? Or Angry Birds? No. You could go for something scripty, but then it's difficult to read. So what have we got that's not difficult to read and looks rather... No, that's difficult to read. Oh, we could go for the MacBites font, but probably not. Oh, we must have some nice things in here that would work. What have we got that's Christmassy? That one's not bad. No, I don't think Freak shows the right one. Oh, that one. No, it doesn't work. Anybody making any suggestions? And not graphic death either. Do you know what? I can live with that for the demo. I can't live with kerning on it, but I can live with it for the demo. So let's take that back and do some changes with that. And generally make that Christmassy. So I will need to do more with this, but I'm showing you how I started it with a scene generator, a scene creator, which works fantastically well. So I'd be putting styles on it, and of course on the other side I'm going to need to lay out some text. So if I'm putting the fact it's the MacBites Advent Calendar on the left And I'm going to put this on the right. I'm going to want it to line up on that page, fit with it, maybe give me a little bit more space at the top. I might decide to move this text up if I put a bigger element on the bottom. So I might move that up a little bit and give it a bit more room to put like a wreath on the bottom or something like that. And this can be formatted already. So for a start, if I'm putting stuff in there, I'm probably going to want 2 columns. So if I pop the 2 columns in, and then I can apply the styles to it, and I can even, in the text, do some insert filler text, so I can get an idea for what that looks like way before it's written. And guess what? It is way before it's written. It's not written yet. But when the text is written, then I'll know how many pages I need. But at the moment, I can do that and work out the layout of it. Looking at that, there's one thing that we absolutely should have done. And the reason that I don't have to worry about it in here is this isn't the high-level file. This is just me doing one layout. And I'm doing it away from the main file. What is it that's already in the main file, because we set this up in the Build With Me session, that looking at that is sadly missing in here. And all the stuff you said was great, and there was one item that you missed. Just the one. Which is the baseline grid. The baseline grid, if you remember, is what makes that text line up. If we look at that, this text over here, not properly lined up. We move that up and down, not properly lined up. So a baseline grid would have been a good idea. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make sure that when it's taken from this file to the other file, it will adopt the baseline grid that's in there. So that's pretty much it, apart from the fact this isn't the material that I'll actually be using. But what I'll do now, because what we've done this week is get it to the stage that we know what a scene creator is. The one I actually wanted to use, so first of all I'll show you the 2 that I did use. So in Vivaldi, somewhere, other Vivaldi, that Vivaldi, that's the one. Right, the ones that I used were... no, I took that one out, didn't I? Right, in here, scene generator, Christmas. Okay, that was one. There is that one. That one was the one that was for sale as well. So if you look at these were the ones that were for sale, and they were like £20 each. So that was one that I picked, and the other one was, what was that called? It's Christmas mock-up, and the other one was... it says workspace. So let's stick workspace on the end. So we've opened that one up, workspace. And it was that one. Okay, so I'll put the Christmas link in first into the chat. Hopefully these will come through okay. And I'll put the workspace one in second. And then share with you what's really going to happen. So what I'm actually going to use is something entirely different, which is in... need the link for it, heading off for the link right now. Right, what I decided to do with it, I need more elements than that. So what I did was go to this place. Now these are what we're looking at here is individual tiny little things, so they may have in them 20, 30, 40, even 50 elements. So if we look at what's on this one, there's the flower that I chose, and the computer, a frame, an apple or an onion. I think it's an apple. It looks a bit weird at the top. You know, the ornament thing and the scissors. And they are all included in that set, as we can see over here. So those are the elements that are included within that set. But that's it. So what I wanted was a whole lot more elements. So I went to this place. So let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. This is only available for another 1 day. Okay, where did that just go? Oh, I see. Hang on. I will paste this in for you. Although Mike could paste it in. Let me try and... Where's that gone? There it is. I'm trying to find you guys. I'm working around cameras and all sorts.
I'll
right.
paste it in.
It's all right, done it. Right. What we've got there is what I'm actually going to be using. So this is 6 mock-up bundles together. And this is just $19 for the next 1 day, 7 hours. I think after that it's about 100 or something like that. But what this has got in it is multiple mock-up bundles. So while I've got access to a whole range of them, I did not have access to these, and some of the stuff in here I actually wanted to use. And $19, I'm absolutely fine with that. So it tells you what you get, right? 1,890 items in 80 scenes. Then the next one, which is the front view, is 800 items in 30 scenes. So you're getting a heck of a lot down here. 8,400 plus Photoshop files. Yeah, managing these is going to be tricky. So what it then gives you is the preview of what you'll get. So you get all of these items in all the colours. It explains what a scene creator is, which is what I've done and explained tonight. And then there's all the different scenes that are actually included in it. Okay. So, and then it shows you that each of the individual items, not only can you put them in multiple positions, but you can actually colour them differently as well. So that one's got scissors in it as well, but it's also got pens and all sorts in it. As I went down, there was some Christmas stuff, and I loved them. These Christmas ones here. So the ones I'm intending to use, when I said I'm going to leave it that, because I'm going to want to put a wreath at the bottom. If we look at the white wreath here, and the green wreath at the top, and I'm loving that colour, those are the ones I'm going to be using. Now, you might wonder why I didn't actually just use that one tonight then. Well, I would have loved to have used that one tonight, but I am actually having trouble downloading it because there's so much in it, it's 70 gig. And I've tried one download link and it's struggling to make the zip file. So I'm going to have to try the other one. So hopefully by this time next week I'll have it all downloaded and we can play. But a lot of these I'm going to use in a lot of different circumstances. So expect to see quite a few of this kind of thing in the book itself. So you've got multiple equipment in here, you've got multiple smartphones, you name it, it's in here. It goes on and on and on. There are thousands and thousands. So to me, this is like getting one kit and then I'll probably just use this for the majority of the book and use the other one to supplement it. And a lot of these are the top-down look that I actually want as well. So I can foresee that a lot of these, when I'm talking about the artwork in MacBites, I'll probably use these. And I think for $19, that's amazing. I just needed a little bit longer and possibly putting less stress on the system to actually download the whole thing. But I'm loving all of these. And I also wanted music related stuff, so I've got some music related stuff in there with headphones, etc. Oh, and all of the bakery things, obviously. So I will get this downloaded in the week and I will show you the whole thing next week, and I will show you the finished artwork. But that is a scene creator, and that's how I intended to use it. Less as a hero header and more for artwork, general artwork. Is there anything sewing related? That's a very good question, because there's makeup in it and Christmassy stuff. I must admit I haven't actually noticed if there was or not. But what we could do, Carol, is a logical thing, which is we could go back to elements. I don't know why it keeps going there.
Patricia says, is that a business license with unlimited sales?
Let me just whip back to it. The license is right down the bottom. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff in there. A lot. Right, there we go. As it says, it's over 70 gig, so you're going to have to be careful with it. You can't sell the actual item, but you can use everything that's in it to create your own stuff for as many different jobs as you like. So yes, if you were creating content for other people, you can use this. You just can't give them the raw PSD files, obviously, because that's what they're selling. But once it's like in a book, I wouldn't have to pay any more to put it in 2 or 3 or 4 books, or a podcast, or a video, or a training video, or anything else. So no, I wouldn't need to pay any extra for that. Right, so I was just going to go to here and do a scene creator, and I reckon it could be under sewing or it could be under craft. Let's put sewing and see if there is anything. Possibly not bang on, don't know. There's papercraft. Might have to have a look. I don't see any in there directly, but there's that much there could be. So give me a chance to have a look at it and we'll see if there is. I will share that next week. Okay, if you've got any questions about that, post it in. It is an unbelievable collection. Even I spent money on it. So as I say, it's on offer for another day and 7 hours. You'll probably find something in there. These things are great if one of them is just what you want. And another thing I use the Envato Elements ones for is you'll notice a lot of that one there that was the $19 one is from 2016 and 2017. Let's whiz straight back to the top. My mousey thing going to take me straight back to the top. Oh, you're a good mouse. A lot of this actually had years on it and said 2016-17. So some of the computers might be dated, whereas in Envato Elements you'll be able to get the very latest computers. So just to give you an idea, if I go back to the whole of Envato and search the whole thing, but I put on it, let's see if we try sewing and see what we get. What have we got in terms of graphics? Oh, we do have sewing kits. There you go. There are sewing kits. Possibly not scene creation, but you never know. You might find something in there that is. There we go. Have a look for sewing stuff. So in terms of computers, let's say I want a 24-inch iMac. One of the new ones. They are already there. So I might not have to put on that desk in the $19 thing from Mighty Deals a new computer. But if I've got a subscription here, then I can get a new computer in any colour that I need. So now it's bang up to date. So let's say with this one, I want that computer. All the colours are included. You can use it in all of these. So an Illustrator file you'd be able to use. An Adobe XD file you would be able to use, and a Photoshop file you'd be able to use. So I could download that and then add that to the collection, so I've got the brand new computer. So that is how I use it. Kim says my computers are dated, I never noticed. Well, do you know, when you think about it, the computer that sat on my desk right now, which I still consider to be new, was actually first designed in 2012. And it still, to me, looks reasonable. I know the bezel's huge, but it still looks reasonable. But if I do want it, if I wanted to showcase something new, then those were there within days. Within days. Right, hopefully there's no more questions on that at the moment, while I do my freebie thing and then hand over to Mike, because if I don't post this essay, it's going to be too late. So now I'm doing 5 jobs at once, as per usual. So, let's head off into there and look at the freebie. Oh, the freebie's good. You'll love the freebie. Particularly if you're drawing. Now, don't let me lose drawing. Although I do remember when I was 12, possibly 11 actually, I'd only just started high school, I was drawing a football goalkeeper. And the art teacher said it was fantastic. I thought he looked like a wooden toy, but he said it was fantastic. What I think I needed, though, was a book, a free book, 130 pages of advice for drawing, painting and drawing anatomy. I had to cut that off at the bottom for obvious reasons. Notice, bottom. But I thought I'd show you an idea of what was inside it. You'll love this. Just think Renee's Vegetables. Yeah. So it shows you the essentials, but I decided not to show you as many of the essentials as was maybe wise. But it's a 130-page book, and it's all about how to draw, and that's either digitally or pen and paper. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Right, are you ready to go?
Now I've got to press record.
I'm sure you can manage to press record.
Right, I've pressed record.
Well, we hand over to Mike. Now I don't want to put my webcam on, do I? Nobody wants that. Oh, it's the desktop. Close your eyes now. Right, I'm switching over, Mike.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. There are no unicorns today.
No.
Sorry, Dee. No unicorns. They've gone on unicorn holiday. Right, today we're talking about protection. And there's a number of different levels of protection. So let me start with a simple one. What I have here is a spreadsheet to work out the monthly repayment on a loan. So you type in how much you want to borrow. I think that's a small amount for a new iMac. I think we should probably double that. And then you type in the annual interest rate, and I have a formula to work out the monthly interest rate. The reason that I'm calculating the monthly interest rate is because ultimately I want to get back the monthly repayment. So the number of payments is also in months. So what I've done, just to remind myself which cells I am going to be typing into, I've just coloured those. The problem we've got is that all of the cells in this sheet, whether it be cells with data in, empty cells, cells with formula in, are currently unprotected, because that's the default state. So you can go to any cell and just overtype it, and we obviously want to prevent that happening. So what I want to do is I want to protect every single cell in the worksheet, the blank ones, data filled ones, except the ones that I've highlighted here. So what you do is you actually, before you turn the protection on, you select those cells and then you say don't make those cells locked. And to do that, go up to Format, and there's a menu option there at the bottom, Lock Cell, and you'll notice that the padlock is it's got a kind of pressed in appearance. It's got a darker background, and what that means is when and only when sheet protection is on, those cells will be locked. In fact, every cell will be locked. So if I just randomly pick a cell and go to Format, that lock cell padlock has got a little box behind it. So actually, when you do Format Protect Sheet, every single cell in the sheet is protected. So you're kind of doing it backwards. So I'm going to select those 3 cells. I was going to use a phrase, but I don't know if it'll get us banned, so I won't use it. No. Derriere about face, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah. But then, yeah, I was going to say you had a naked one, but you actually cut it off.
I didn't.
You didn't, yeah. So I won't say it. Right, so yes, you do it derriere about face by choosing the cells that you don't want protected, and then going to Format and turning off the locked cell on that option, on those cells. So now the dark background has disappeared on the icon, but only for those 3 cells. And once you've done that, go up to Format Protect Sheet, click OK, and now every single cell in the sheet is protected except those 3. So you can't type into these 3, you just can't type into the rest of it. So that is a simple example of protection. So I'll close that one down. Okay, now the next level of protection, or the next demo I want to show you, is protecting a file from unauthorized opening. So if I just pick, I'll actually use the same file. If I just pick that file there and go to File, Save As, then click on More Options, then click on Tools, and then click on General Options, it gives me the ability to type in a password to open and a password to modify. You can have 2 different passwords, so I'll type in the password to open, I'll type in the password to modify. I'll then have to re-enter those passwords, so that's re-entering the password to open and re-entering the password to modify. You don't have to set both, so choice is yours, and click Save and Replace. So if I now close this file and reopen it, first of all it'll ask me to enter a password just to open the file because I set a password to open. But I also set a password to modify. If I hadn't set that password, it wouldn't be prompting me here, but because I did, I've got a choice. If I don't know that password, I could open the file as read-only. If I do know that password, type it in, and it's opened the file, and it's opened as editable. So that's one option you've got when it comes to protection. So it's not, I'm not just talking about protecting cells in this session. I'm actually looking at various different options when it comes to protection, and that is one of them. The ability to set a password to stop people opening the file, the ability to set a password to stop people editing the file. Okay, so close that one down. If you want to remove that password or change it, then go back into the file. Obviously I'll need to type the password in to open the file, and I'll need to type the password in to edit the file, and then go back to File, Save As, click on More Options, click on Tools, click on General Options, and either change the password there or just remove it totally. By the way, everything I'm showing you today will work on Excel for the Mac as well as Excel for Windows. And somebody asked, I think Ceci asked earlier, but he's probably disappeared now.
We'll be watching later.
Yeah, so
at a reasonable hour.
Hi Ceci, yes. You were asking about Parallels. This is Parallels. I'm running Windows using Parallels so that I can demonstrate Excel for Windows.
Kim has asked a very sage question there.
Let me go and have a look at that then. What if you forget the password? Right, that is one of my demos, which I'll come on to. Funnily enough, what if you forget the password for opening? I'm not actually sure. Because I've not covered that in my demo, but certainly for the other types of protection, I'm going to show you that shortly, Kim. It's a very good point, and I've had last week I had somebody come to me, and it wasn't a case of I've forgotten the password. It's a case of somebody has set a password on this Excel file and they left the company 6 months ago. Can you do anything? And I did my hocus pocus bit of magic.
Oh, he rides in, right, like a superhero with his pants on the outside, don't you?
Yeah, and I got told I was amazing, and all I'd done is Googled it, really.
I know, but you didn't need to tell them that. She asked me how I did it, so I gave her the steps. But it's all about Googling the right thing, because she tried to Google it and she couldn't find an answer. I don't think you'll find an answer for some idiot left the company and now I'm locked out. You need to know precisely what to type.
Exactly. But, you know, this thing about unlocking an Excel file goes back 20 odd years. Somebody asked me that when I worked for that software company. So, you know, people have been doing it for years. Anyway, let's now look at worksheet protection. So I'm going to open up this file here, protection 1. Worksheet protection is actually what I've just shown you, where you can stop people entering data into the cells and editing data into the cells, and you can set that on each individual worksheet. But there's actually more to it than just being able to stop people entering data into cells. At the moment, on the dashboard sheet, protection is currently off, and you can check the protection status by going to Format, and because that says Protect Sheet, it tells me that for this sheet protection is off, whereas if it said Unprotect Sheet, for this sheet dashboard protection would be on. So protection is off for the sheet. Anything can be changed. I could overwrite a formula. I could click in there and overwrite a formula, which I don't want to do, so I'll undo it. You could delete a chart. So, you know, delete the chart. Is it going to let me delete the chart? There we go. I'll just undo that. And the slicers work as well. So the slicers are active. You could delete the slicer. So if I go to Format, Protect Sheet, what I can do here is I can set a password so that if somebody tries to unprotect the sheet by going to Format, Unprotect Sheet, then what it will do is it will prompt them to enter in the password. But what you can also do is you can basically set exceptions. So when you turn sheet protection on, you can say, well, actually, I want to protect the sheet, but I want to let people insert columns and insert rows and delete columns and delete rows, and I want them to be able to use pivot tables and so on and so forth. So there are things that you can say, I've turned protection on, but these are exceptions. I want people to be able to do these things here. So in this particular case, I don't want people to be able to select any cells. So I'll untick both those boxes. What I'm thinking is, what's the point of letting them select a cell if they can't actually type into those cells? So we'll untick those boxes. I'll also set a password. So put the password in there and then put the password in again. Passwords are case sensitive. It does say if you lose or forget a password, it can't be recovered. And it can't be recovered, but there is a magic trick to disabling it, which I'll show you shortly. Okay, so what I've just done there is I've just turned protection on just for this sheet, just for dashboard. So I literally cannot even click in any cells. Luckily the button works, although I haven't enabled the macros, but the other problem is that the slicer doesn't work at all. Alright, so I'm going to turn protection off, so unprotect sheet, and type the password in. What I'm then going to do is click onto this slicer and then right click it and go to size and properties, open up the properties section and take the tick out of locked. And what that means is when sheet protection is on, this slicer will not be locked, which means it is usable. Alright, so let's then go back and turn protection on. It remembers the ticks and it remembers the state of the tick boxes, but it doesn't remember any password settings. So I'll put the password in again to reset it. So now you cannot edit the pivot table on the protected sheet. Okay, so this slicer is actually connected to this pivot table here. So this little block here looks, well, you can't tell it's a pivot table. It is a pivot table, but the slicer is actually connected to that pivot table. So as I click the buttons, it says, hang on a minute, that's protected, so I can't actually change the pivot table. So for the third time I will turn protection off, and for the third time I will put the password in, and then what I need to do is go back and turn the protection on and tick the box that says allow us to use pivot tables when the protection's on. Now I didn't set a password there, but that's fine. So now as I click these buttons, it is actually changing the numbers in that pivot table there. Okie dokie, so that is worksheet protection, and that works on individual sheets. So you can stop various things happening within that sheet. The other thing to show you is workbook protection. Now workbook protection, when turned on, allows people to, or stops people adding a worksheet, renaming sheets, unhiding sheets that are hidden, hiding sheets that are unhidden.
Can I short form that for you, dear?
Yeah.
Trunking.
Trunking, yeah, exactly. Okay, Renee says great dashboard. Thank you for that, Renee. It's one of my demo dashboards. Just having a look to see if there are any other questions. There are password removal tools to remove that, yes, Renee, but when I'm in work mode, I'm not allowed to recommend those because they're unapproved tools at work. But amongst friends here in After Hours, if you wanted to use one of these password cracking tools that you can get on the interwebs...
Oh, he said the C word, that'll upset YouTube. Password removal tools,
Password removal tools. Yeah, okay, password removal tools. I stand corrected. then by all means try them. But I've not tried any, so I can't vouch for any. I can't, you know, tell you which ones work and which ones don't, and which ones may be malware. So yeah, how do you stop people trunking, as you quite so eloquently put it? Yeah. Well, what you do is you actually go to the review tab. You've actually got unprotect sheet or protect sheet here as well, which is actually exactly the same as on the format menu. But on the review tab, you go to protect workbook, not sheet, protect workbook. And the only option you've got is to protect the structure. Now, if you're wondering why Windows is greyed out, it's actually no longer supported, but it's there for compatibility with older versions of Excel. And it's when Excel used to be a single, what do they call it, SDI, single something interface. What does it stand for? I can't remember. But it's when each Excel file used to appear in its own window. And so what you could do is you could resize the windows within Excel and then basically stop people meddling with the structure of the window layout.
Was it a single device interface?
I'm thinking it's single device interface, but that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me either.
I'm sure it's...
What was the other one?
There's SDI and MDI, so it's multi-something interface and single or something interface. Document, that was it. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, that's the reason that's greyed out. But if I enable password protection for the structure, I won't put a password in. Sorry, if I enable workbook protection for the structure, I won't put a password in. I'll just click OK. Then it means I can't rename the sheets, I can't move the sheets around, I can't unhide or hide the sheets, I can't add new sheets. Yeah, so actually I'm going to set a password on here. I'm going to set two passwords. I'm going to set a password because this is for the next demo. I'm going to set a password on the sheet. Okay, and I'm going to set a password on the workbook. Alright, and then I'm going to save the file. So this is protection 1, and I'm going to close it down, and then I'm going to go on and show you what to do if you have either forgotten the password or never knew the password in the first place. Which, as I said, is what happened to me the other week at work. Which is well, actually, it was last week, and it's what prompted me to do this demo. So, you open the file, and then you try and add a new sheet, and it won't let you do it. So you go along to the review tab, and you click protect workbook. Now interestingly, that really should say unprotect workbook because the workbook is protected. So how we know it is protected is because it's got a dark background. That tells us that protection is on, but I click the button and it challenges me for the password, which I don't know. And then I think, you know what, I need to change one of these formulas. So I go and unprotect the sheet, and it won't let me do it because I don't know the password, because somebody left the company 6 months ago having password protected it. They probably got fired, you know, and thought, I'm going to really
that's what people do.
It is, yeah. But
do you remember who was it left the White House and took all the W keys off the keyboard?
I don't know. I don't know.
Genius.
But this is where Magic Mike comes in, you see. And
yes.
Yeah.
This is why all the ladies think that Mike is magic.
It was a lady, actually.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah. So,
follow me, surprise.
Step one is to change the extension to zip. So I'll just right click, rename, and change it from XLSX to zip. Okay. Now the reason I didn't do this on the Mac version is because when I double click the zip file on the Mac, using the built-in unarchiver, it said it didn't recognise the format of the zip file. It works if you use Better Zip. What's it called? Better Zip.
That's it. Better Zip.
Better Zip. And it probably works if you use any other unarchiver.
Just the Mac one.
Yeah. So that's why I'm doing this demo on Windows. But if I double click that zip file, it will open it in WinZip, and I'll go to this Excel folder, and there is a file there called workbook.xml, because basically an Excel file since 2007 is made up of XML files, which can be opened in a text editor. So I'm going to drag that workbook XML file out onto my desktop. I'm going to double click on it to open it, and then I'm going to search for protection. And what we have is we have a tag called workbook protection. So I just need to highlight the entire tag, which goes up to there, and just delete it, and then save the file, close it down, and drag the file back into that Excel folder and replace the file. So that's the workbook. Now if I reopen that file and I search for, I think I need to search for the word sheets. Yes, I need to search for the word sheets. Alright, so search for the word sheets, and I've got a sheets tag here. And so the first sheet is sales data, the second sheet is dashboard, and the third sheet is pivot tables. So those are the names of the sheets, because of course in Excel you can rename your sheets. And I actually want to find the sheet called dashboard, because that's the one that's got the protection on it. That's the one that I've protected to stop people typing in the cells. So the sheet called dashboard is sheet 2. Okay, now that's important, because I then need to go into the worksheets folder, and there's sheet 2. So, and that's the thing, that the sheets are called sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. They're not named based on the actual sheet name in the tab. So that's why you've got to know which sheet is which. So I'll drag that one out, open that one up in Notepad, search again for protection, and we have this sheet protection tag, which I need to select, make sure I don't select too much or too little. So it's from that less than sign to that slash greater than sign. Delete that, save it, close it, drag that back into the zip file and replace the one that was there, close WinZip, and then rename this file back to XLSX. There we go. Open it up, and okay, there is something wrong there. Now why is there something wrong? Was that an hang on, that was an XLSM file. I think it was an XLSM file to start with. Let's just try that. Fingers crossed. There we go. Okay, so now the protection is turned off, so I can type into the cells, and the workbook protection is turned off, so I can add new sheets and unhide sheets, etc, etc. Yeah, make sure that when you change the extension back from zip, you change it back to what it was originally. Okay, and Patricia says you have 2 of these files you could never get in. There you go. Dirty hack, Excel dirty hack for Kim. So that is it from me. That is how you can break into your Excel files if either you've lost the password, forgotten the password, or never had the password in the first place.
Do you know, I was convinced you were going to say you've lost the plot, but that's me, isn't it?
Yes. So, have you posted your essay?
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep,
So
got myself sorted as well. Unbelievable.
I will.
And Renee knew. Renee knew.
Renee,
So what I'll do is, what I was doing while Mike was studying his stuff, was I was writing and publishing today's article. Thank God there's only 9 more days to go. This is killing me.
let me just answer Ignacio's question before I hand back. He says, is there a way to move several sheets from one file into a new file? Yeah, if you select the sheet, so let's say I wanted to move sheets 1, 2, 3 and 4. Click on sheet 1, shift and click on sheet 4. That should select all those 4. Right click, move or copy, choose new book, click on create a copy if you want to copy them. If you want to move them, don't tick that box. Click OK. I don't know why it's identified a security concern, probably something to do with macros. So that has now taken those sheets and moved them into a new book, book 1, and they've gone from the original. I guess that's what you're asking, Ignazio. So just select the sheets, right click on any one of them and move or copy, and just choose new file. Okay, I will pass back to you if you are ready.
Yeah, just a minute. I'm still typing here.
Okay.
Hang on, I need to paste a link in, or that will make no sense at all. There we go. Here's my hard work of the last few weeks. That's what I've been up to. And Renee has notifications. Amazing. So, they love that, Mike. Did you know I think there's scope for an Excel 101? Because there's so much that you take for granted that other people are like, I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah, when you say 101, I always think this is a cell, this is a row, this is a column. And that takes me back to 1988 when I started training.
When you were a child in a pram, Mike.
When I started training Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Right, I need to shift stuff so we can go back over here, don't I? But I also need... Have I done that? I think I have. Oh, jolly good. And where did that go? Oh, so many things to do. Ah, there we go. Right, so let me push some buttons before Mike presses stop. iMac, that's what we need. And from there, we need to move on to drafts. Whoa, did I get a lot of mails about drafts? You love it. It's a tricky one, unless you've got like a use case. And last week we managed to get a use case and everybody loved it. Oh, you see, Kim agrees. An Excel 101 would be good. You know, I've had that with Notion. Somebody wanted a 101. And Affinity. And if you think about it, you dive into Affinity and there's a lot of stuff you don't touch. And then that could be perfect for somebody. But you know that 80-20 rule?
It's like all the options, isn't it?
Yeah, 80% of people only use 20% of the features. And my argument when somebody says that to me is, yes, but they're not all the same 20%.
It's a different 20% of the features.
So when they remove the feature that I absolutely rely on, it's like, oh, yes, but only 20% of people use that. Yes, but one of them was me. Don't do that. But yeah, I agree. Hello, Daniela. Oh, remembers learning Lotus, but you didn't have the chance to learn Excel. Now, you see, Lotus, that was your first spreadsheet, wasn't it?
That was my first spreadsheet.
Mine was called Calc on an Amiga, a Commodore Amiga. And I remember opening it and thinking, squares, numbers, cool.
Peter misses Lotus 1, 2, 3. Especially for you, Peter, /file save, /file retrieve.
We were talking about this the other day, weren't we? And I said, you know, Lotus 1, 2, 3, for a start, it drove the PC revolution. Why were people buying it? Because they wanted to use Lotus 1, 2, 3. And the other thing is, there was in Lotus 1, 2, 3, there was the slash menu. Well, you think about Notion, Craft, Rome, Obsidian, they all have the slash menu. And it goes right the way back to Lotus 1, 2, 3. Old kit never dies. It just comes back in a more expensive format. So, drafts, part 2. That's what we're having a look at. Daniela says Craft, the older one. Lotus 1, 2, 3 was really good. I do remember that, and it was really good. But that was after I'd had spreadsheet tuition from Mike, and he had word processing tuition from me. Hadn't you?
Yes.
And the pair of us argued about databases constantly.
Yes, because I wrote my first letter to you in Lotus 1, 2, 3.
You did. And I probably did the adding up in Word Perfect. Leave it alone, Mike. Right, so drafts. So we're heading into part 2. I've got some data in there. There's not much more than there was last week. I'll be building it up as I go. I'm going to focus on 2 particular things. But there's so much to draft, and we've still not even touched it on the iPad and the phone. So we will be having a part 3. But we're going to go into more advanced stuff today. So let's have a look at that. Right, this is what we had last week, I think. I did the browser extensions and I copied and pasted a list into here, if you remember. I have got some stuff in here that's a little bit extra. So these were some test stuff we put in, and these were testing some things. But basically I've got some stuff in here. And I've put some things in for demo purposes, but I will be putting more things in as we go along.
Patricia asked, what is drafts?
Right, so to go right back to the beginning. Drafts is an application that started its life in 2012 on iOS, and it had one job to do, and that was you typed into it. Rather than typing into your Twitter client, your email client, into Evernote or anything else, instead of stopping, so you've got this idea in your head, and you pick up your phone, and then Twitter beeps and Facebook beeps, and you've probably forgotten what the idea was. But if you've held on to this idea, your next step is to think, where should I put it? And drafts attempts to take away that decision. You put it in drafts. And then from within drafts, you send it to where it needs to go. So I got it in 2012 on iOS. And instead of typing a text to somebody, or typing a tweet, or typing a Facebook post in the relevant application, I would type it in drafts. So in my full database, this is a demo database, you will find texts and messages going back to whenever, because I just put them in the archive. And then what I do when I'm ready, so something like, we said this as an example last week, I typed Lola was so cute today, and I wanted all of these hashtags to go on an Instagram post. So if we do that again, if we get a new blank one. So I want, bearing in mind I'm on my Mac, so I don't have access to Instagram because it's on my phone. But I want to type, you know, Lola had a ball today. And I want to send that to Instagram, but I want it to have the right hashtags, as it were. And I would have to sit there and fill that in. And I don't know about you, but you know, when Mike's driving, if I'm trying to type, I could hit send and it's not fully formed. So I do it in here instead, and I automate part of it. So in here I've got groups, and I've got my basic one. I think it's in social. I have a group called social, and this is about Lola, and I want it to be tagged so other people who are interested in Samoids will see it. So I have this action which I double click and it puts all of the Samoid tags on it. What I can then do is just close this down on my Mac. When I go pick my phone up, I've got it on my phone. So I'd go to it, look at that, and what I can do with it from here is actually post it. So if I wanted to tweet that, if I double click that, it would tweet it. So what I actually do is do a copy. I go into Instagram, choose the picture, edit the picture however I want, get to the text bit, paste, post, done. But this was typed up on the Mac. So the tagline of drafts is, it's where text starts. So no matter where the text is going, be it an email, a message, a LinkedIn post, a blog post, an idea, whatever it is, put it in drafts. If it's text-based, put it in drafts. And then you can use these magic beans over here, which we will be looking at today, to send it where it needs to go.
Can you set up your own groups?
Right, groups as in, what kind of groups are we talking about? Are we talking about inbox, flagged, archive and all? Because what you've got in the interface is it. And I do appreciate, until you know about workspaces, you'll think that's a bit limiting. But it's not a bit limiting once you've got workspaces. So workspaces was the first thing we were going to look at. But seeing as though we've got people with us who haven't tried anything at all, I will just go over what we did last week very briefly, which was, it's only for text. It's multiple formats of text. It's plain text, it's markdown, it's multi-markdown, it's task paper. There are many different syntaxes that it supports. You only have 4 places, 5 if you include the bin, to actually physically put something. So something is either going to be in the inbox, It could be in the inbox and flagged. It could be in the archive, or it could be in the archive and flagged. You can look at all of the drafts that you've got, each individual draft. You can see them all. Or you can look at the bin. And there isn't much in the bin. Okay? Those are the only physical places that you can. Now, Carol says your social group. Right, okay. What we're talking about then is two different things. These are the drafts that we're looking at. What we're looking at on the right hand side, where it says groups, and yes, you can create multiple ones of these are not actually drafts, these are actions. These are commands that you want to run against one of the entries that you've got. So if I wanted to tweet that, all I'd need to do is double click it to tweet it. If I wanted to send a message, double click it to send a message, or send a mail to somebody, just double click. These are actions, and yes, you can create as many action groups as you want. Some of these have been downloaded, some of them I've created, some of them shipped with it. I will show you that later. We're focusing on two different concepts today. One is workspaces and one is actions. Now, workspaces are important because of the structure of drafts. Because we've only got a narrow column here, they don't want you to create more of these. They're not really tags, they're places, they're physical locations. They don't want you to have an inbox, flagged, archive, all, and then put one of your own in. For that, they have a totally different feature, which is workspaces. So for instance, the way this is organised at the moment, I have put some tags on things. This one doesn't have a tag. And it is good practice to put a tag on virtually everything. You can search for everything that doesn't have a tag, but future you will love past you if you tag as you go. So up on here, this one would be a social media post. So I think I tended to put social media SM post for that. But it doesn't matter. You can call it what you like. And as soon as you tag something with that, you get that tag appear in the tag window on the left. So other things that we've got in here, Ollie was cute, and Ollie hasn't got a tag. Now we've got a social media post. I just put SM and then press enter. So that's what we've got with the tags. The tags are a way to organise things. So the first thing that you can do, right, is sit here and think, oh, I posted a social post and I need it back. And you could have, I have, I think about 500, 600 things in the archive, usually. You could go and try and find it, but it's probably easier not to. So the first thing you could do is search your drafts. So you could think it was about Lola, okay? So if I put Lola in, it does give me the two posts that have got Lola in them. Why that's not the best way to work is I would probably have some notes about Lola's medications or something in here, and I wouldn't particularly want to see that. So I'd like really to limit it to Lola posts where it's social posts. And there's no way that I can do that in the search because the word social post isn't included in there. But if it is over here, which it is, social posts, all I need to do, there are two symbols next to each one of these. There's a plus on the left and a no entry on the right. And what that does is add it or take it away from the search. So if on here we want to search for social posts, I would hit the plus. That then says do a search and include all the social posts. So at the top it says tagged social media post, and it's found two of them. You'll notice it didn't find the two that had Lola in because that one wasn't tagged. There were two entries, but one wasn't tagged. But it has found two things that were marked as social media posts. So it's filtered it down to just two entries. But what if it had filtered it down to like 20 or 30 or even 50? All right. If we put Lola in the search now, it filters it. It's a nested filter. So the tags are filtered first, and then the text is filtered after that. so far, everything that we're doing is in the free version. So last week we discussed the versions. They are available from the app stores and they are completely free and they do fully synchronize with each other, which is highly unusual when it's a paid for service. So far, at the moment, everything is free. We are going to come into some things that aren't particularly free. It's subscription based. It is $29.99 a year, dollars. And you might think that's excessive for something that just, shuffles a bit of text around. But people are using this instead of things like Scrivener or instead of Ulysses. Everything that they write is in here. And their logic for that is, if it needs to go somewhere else down the line, you can do that really easily. We saw last week you could send it to iCloud, you could send it to Dropbox, OneDrive, Box, Google Drive, post it straight to a blog post. You can send it anywhere. Including Twitter. I should try the Twitter thing, but not at the moment. I don't want to upset Twitter at the moment. Leave it be. So the search is search by tag first and then refilter by the actual text in it. The other thing that you can do, so let's clear the text and we will clear up here as well. So where are we? SM post, yeah, we want to get rid of that. Oh, what are you doing? There. So this bit here is showing you the actual tags. And this bit, once you do a search, so we do that SM post search again, it puts that at the top and your cross here is where you take that away. And then what it's bringing you back, and it's doing this with the top two things, the tagged and what's omitted. So the tag is the positive thing. I want to see things that are tagged with a particular tag. And the next one is, but exclude things that are tagged with something else. So let's see that work. In our SM posts, we've got two of them. This one is SM post, that one is SM post, but there's nothing else. So let's make a tag that is not in results, or not in search. That would make sense. Right. So if and when I'm searching, I don't want that to come up, but it's still there. So this is how we do that. So that would be for things like just throwaway things that you don't particularly want to delete, but if you're searching for something, you don't want it to come up either. Right, well, I want to see everything that's tagged a social media post. That gives me 2. But not in search. If I put that with the other one, it's show me everything that's tagged SM post, but not if it is tagged not in search, which is brilliant. So now we only get that and we don't need to have to do another search for Lola. But in effect, it gives you 3 levels of search. It's got tag A, it doesn't have tag B, and there's this text in it. And this is before you start doing anything clever. This is just the search that's doing that. And then when you've finished with that, you hit that cross again, everything goes away, and you can now carry on working. Now, one thing that I could do with that is I have what I call boilerplate. And boilerplate is things, Facebook will tell me it's somebody's birthday, and I'm like, not again. So I want to post a happy birthday. And I don't want to piddle around and put 8, emojis in. It'd take me all day. So all I do is go to my boilerplate, which is like a template, or what other word could we use for it? Like a text expansion, only I use it in here. And all I need to do to use that is double click it, and it's copied that to the clipboard. But remember, I might be creating this slot on the Mac, but the place that drafts comes into its own is on iOS, because I could just do the same on iOS and then paste it straight in somewhere, and it's so much faster. So I have a few things that are boilerplate. How do I see which ones they are? Well, I've got a tag of boilerplate. So if I double click it or I hit the plus, that will add it to the top and it will show me what they are. So I've got 5 of them. Initially, what I was doing with the LinkedIn hashtags, the Jackapoo hashtags and the Samoid hashtags was I was copying them and doing the job manually. But then I realised I could create an action for that. So actually I don't particularly need these 3 anymore, but they're still there just in case. I also have the Apple symbol, which I know I can get to on a keyboard, which is Shift, Option and K, if you're wondering. But on iOS, I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't got all day to find out either. I could probably go into the emojis. Never mind, just come in here and find it. And all I'd need to do is, again, just double click it and copy it. So that's one of my boilerplates. So I've got 3 that are just hashtags. I've got this birthday one, and I've got the boilerplate at the top. And I've done it all by just saying, search for something that's tagged boilerplate. But all of these are in the inbox. And seen as though they're kind of system admin-y things, I wouldn't leave them in the inbox, would I? No. I would take these, and there's a few ways of doing it, but you can say move to archive. You can drag them to the archive. And the issue now is, in the inbox, we know there's stuff in the inbox, we're just not seeing it, because we filtered it for boilerplate. So the place to find it is now going to be in the archive. So you could have items across the inbox, flagged, the archive. It won't return it if it's in the bin, but you could have things in these places and want to return it, or just work with boilerplate. So for instance, these 3 I wouldn't particularly need, so I could make the decision to delete them. There's also other things. So boilerplate's easy, because it's just, you could have that called template or text expansion or whatever you want to call it, and it's really easy to find it just by double clicking the tag. But I still made a different way to do it, but I'm going to show it you with a better example. So we'll come out of there. Right. All of this is one interface, and all it needs is those 4 physical locations and the tags. That's it. But for the people who are using it for their blog and writing a book, you know, my first thought was, how do you do that? Because this is just one unholy mess. It's just looking at everything that's in your inbox until you archive it, and there's nowhere else to put it. So how would you extract from the archive just what you wanted? So this is what you would do. So let's say I've got a new thing here, and this is MacBites, the next show. Oh, I wonder when that might be. Right, so we'll put an item in, and I'm just going to put item 1, and then I would put some information about that item. Right, that would then get tagged, and it would probably be tagged MacBites. And then I would go through and I would put other items in. So I could do that, if you remember, if we were in, let's have a look. Where did I have that link? I'm going to need to go and find it. Hang on. There we go. I know, I'll just put a link. I'll put a link to the MacBites site. That's easy. That's easy enough to do, isn't it? So another new draft and another MacBites item. And I'm putting in a hashtag at the top, a hash symbol, to make it be a heading. So if this is MacBites website update, it makes it a heading. That's the only reason that I'm putting that hash in. It's not a hashtag as in something that would appear on the left hand side. It's just a hash followed by a space, which gives you a heading. And we'll put the MacBites site in there. So that's just a text expansion that finds that. And again, I would hashtag that MacBites. So all of the content that I'm putting in here, I'm hashtagging, and I would hashtag MacBites as we go. One thing I will do is I will find something from the last show. So let's bring that on. There's the last show. Oh, it's April, and isn't it normally every 3 months? Right, I'm just going to grab some information off here. Right. Oh, the Cadbury's ad. Right, so I've just copied it. There was one question this week, very good question, about the ways to capture the information. So that's on my clipboard. There's other ways to bring this up. So if I close the drafts window, draft is still running, but I don't see it. I have a shortcut to bring it back, which in my case is customized. It's Shift Option and 1. And then I can hide it. And there's 2 other ways to access drafts. In my case, it's Shift Option and 2, and it brings up the little window. the very clean window. And I'm going to post into there all of that information. At this stage, this is not saved. So if I close that window and bring it back, it's there, but let's find a word that's not in there, like Cadbury's. Right? So I'm going to close that window. I'm going to bring back the main window, and you've seen me type it in, but if I put Cadbury's, there's nothing there. Not in any of these locations. Because something that's in the quick entry window has not been added yet. You can choose to add the tag at this point, which would be MacBites, or you can do it later, and I'm going to save it, and now it's already filtered. Straight away that one comes in. And that's going to be top of the list, behind the flagged items. Oh, I've got other information in there. That's interesting. Is it that one? Yeah, it's that one. So I didn't have that at the top. That's going to be links from the last show. So I'll put what that is. Links from the last show. Right. The third way of doing it is whatever is on your clipboard you could capture. So I'm going to capture from here everything from Marooned to Contact Us. And it's on my clipboard. And I'm going to use the third shortcut key, which is Shift Option and 3 for me. And it captures what is on the clipboard. So it created that. So again, that's from the show notes. So I would then add that. But in terms of finding it, is it going to find this? Is it going to find that? It'll find that because we've got MacBites in it. But that one doesn't, so it's important to tag it. So now we've got loads of stuff tagged MacBites. But I might want to say that was the last show. So actually in there, if I'm going to be specific, that's MacBites, but it's MacBites 137. So that one's got 2 tags now. I could be precise, and all of that will appear over here, hopefully. Oh, does it not like the number? It's not showing the number. Oh, there it is. It's popped in. Right. And I could put this from another show, but it's MacBites as well. So now it starts to get tricky in terms of how you want to work. Plus the fact I don't want to have to, particularly on iOS, go through some circuitous affair to try and get filtered on just what I want. Because I'm going to want to query the MacBites stuff constantly. That's what a workspace is for. So in the workspaces, I have one for Blog 30, I've got one for MacBites, all my social media stuff, system information, boilerplate, and this was notes that I made for Build a Second Brain. So there was lots of information coming at you. I mean, there was 196 sessions over 28 days. So it was, have you got this link? Have you got that link? I would just throw it in drafts and just tag it Build a Second Brain and sort the mess out later. But because of that, I was doing it every day. It was an inbox that I was processing every day. So a workspace is nothing more, at a very basic level, than a saved search. So we've seen boilerplate and we've seen the MacBite stuff. If I just switch to that workspace, it automatically filters for MacBites. There's nothing flagged MacBites, there's nothing in the archive that's MacBites, but there will be some MacBite stuff in all, which is exactly what you're seeing from the inbox. But it wouldn't make a difference where this stuff was for you to be able to see it. So if I come out of that, and we get one of these that is marked as MacBites, but I archive it by dragging and dropping it, and then I go back to the MacBites workspace, I've got 3 in the inbox, and when I go to the archive, there's the one for MacBites that's in the archive. So it's a saved search, but it can be so much more than that. So that one's really basic. I also have up there the boilerplate, and we know that there should be 5 of those, and there is. And this just saves me the time of actually going to find the tag and applying the tag. It's purely a time saver. But if you're writing a book, the book could be a workspace. Your blog could be a workspace. Anything that makes sense to you could be a workspace. Right, so what do you do and how do you create these? Well, we've got the social media one, haven't we? So we've got, someone's working out loud, hang on, let's get rid of that. We've got some social media post things here. So that's great. Right, we'll try that one. So what you do is you manage the workspaces. So I'm going to go into manage the workspaces, totally different interface, but very simple, because all you've got is the saved searches, which it is calling workspaces, over on the left hand side. And from there, I'm going to create a new one. And then you get bombarded with that and think, oh, this was a bad idea, and you go away. But no, it's not difficult at all. Right, the first thing you need to do is give it a name. So I'll make this our demo workspace, but the demo will be social media posts. The next thing you can do is give it some kind of icon that makes sense. So if it's social media, do we have it as a cloud or a hammer? Not big on social. We could use Twitter, but then it looks like it's just Twitter. What's a social? There you go, interacting with people. A stamp, that'll do nicely. You can also change the colour. There's only a limited variety, but let's make it blue, just so it's different. Right, so we've got a name, we've got an icon. All of the rest of it is determining which of your drafts is brought back to you and the order that they're brought back. So, starting at the top, do you need in here to put any text in it? And the answer's no, not for this one. But if I wanted MacBites stuff that was about MacBites Siri, then maybe I would. But the first one is the actual text that you put in when we search the first time, like we put Lola in. So, no. The tag filter is obviously going to filter by tag, and that's what we want for this. We want the SM post, which I think had a space in it. Right, we wanted the tag filtered to SM post. You've then got the ability to specify a start date and an end date, which I think there was a question about. Can you do it by month? You would do that in here. And you also can choose whether you would enable this query date, so enable it or not enable it, and then you've got 3 different fields. Is it the date it was accessed, the date it was created, or the date it was modified? Then you've got whether it's relative or absolute. Now if it's absolute, because you would use absolute when you want something returning from January the 1st to February the 28th, 2020, and you always want it from that. That's good for diary entries, to filter by year for a diary entry. But relative is great if you want a rolling 30 days of content or something like that. So you would choose that. And then you choose plus or minus a certain number of days from today. So if you wanted a rolling 30 days from the date it was created, you would say in here plus 14, 15 days. Let's say 15 days for the 31. So plus 15 days. So 15 days forward. The only problem with that is you're not actually going to get anything returned from that, are you? If it's plus this, because it's not going to be created in the future. But as a demo, there you go. Now that's for the start date. We'd actually want that for the end date, wouldn't we? So for this one, it would be minus 15 days from when it was created. And we'll enable that. So when we go in there, it gives you what you've set. And then the end date, we could say plus 1 day from today, because that will just return everything up to today. So if it's the past 30 days, what we'd need to do, we're almost there. We'd need to go to that and say 30 days. And that will show you everything that you've created in social media posts in the last 30 days. Then you've got what it shows. So in the preview, do you want to see the body preview, the search preview, the tags? I just leave those set, but you know, your mileage may vary. You might not want to see that. Then the bit in the middle, the whole bit in the middle, matches the inbox, the flagged, the archive, and the all. And all it's doing is letting you sort by a field. So do you want to sort when it was accessed, when it was created, when it was modified? You just set these. I usually leave these set to modified and then go descending. So the ones I've modified lately will be at the top and they'll work backwards. I do get to say, does it include flagged? So you could actually say, no, don't put the flags in there. You can also choose to put the flags at the top. Now, I don't think we've got any flagged ones, but I'm going to say yes to that on the inbox. And you go through and you do exactly the same for each of these, because you've only got 4 to work with. So you determine what each of those looks like. Once you've done that, you then carry on to the bottom bit. And down here, you've got options. So when you apply, which tab do you want picked? Now, if it's older stuff and it's all going to be in the archive, you could choose the archive in here. No change means whatever you've got selected now, that's the one that will be picked. But I'm going to change that and say inbox. Let's go to the inbox. And I don't particularly want it to do anything. I don't want it to load a particular action group, which is what we're looking at over here. So I'll leave that alone. And I'm not interested in the action bar. That's the stuff at the bottom. So the interface at the bottom. And I can even change the theme if I want when I apply something. Now, some people use that they use it in one mode when they're creating and another mode when they're editing. And it does totally change in their mind. Do we need anything else? No, I don't think we need anything else. We've got a view and we have it saved. So we can close that down. And now if we go up to workspaces, we have our demo workspace and we can apply it, and there are the 2 posts like that. Now it's coming up with this one first because that was modified last. But we said if it was flagged, put it at the top. So this Lola one, if I flag it, that will whip to the top and the orange dot will tell you that it's flagged, and that's why it's at the top. In this case, I don't think we've got anything in archive, but if I were to archive one of these, I'm in this workspace, so I see the flagged one at the top in the inbox because it lives in the inbox. It's in flagged because it's flagged, and there should be one in the archive. If I go to all, I'm going to see both of them. And that is what a workspace is. Now, obviously, you can get as complicated as you like with a workspace. So if I flick over to the MacBites workspace, I should see all of the MacBites notes, of which there's 4. And I think 3 are in the inbox and 1 is in the archive. So it doesn't matter where they are. Now, if I go back, I'm in the archive at the moment, and I'm switching from one workspace to another. I'm going back to the demo one. But notice where I am, I'm in the archive. But if I go back to the demo one, I told it to switch back to the inbox every time I used that workspace. So if my MacBites one here, let's go to archive and apply MacBites, that's not moving me back to the inbox. But if I'm using the MacBites workspace to process things that I've acquired during the day to put them in the show notes, then it should switch back to the inbox. So I will go in and manage the workspaces and go to the MacBites one. And down here, when applying, select which tab, and I didn't pick inbox. But it's as simple as just changing that, closing it down. I'll go to a different workspace and I'll go to flagged, and hopefully when I apply the MacBites workspace, that will flip over and it will go to the inbox. So MacBites, straight to the inbox. So now I'm ready to move into processing mode. And what people do with those workspaces is they are as complicated as you like. But what they're doing is creating a completely different interface within drafts to work on a particular subset of their drafts. So I always treated drafts as something like, I'm just typing something and when I've sent it, that's it, can delete it. But other people decided that yes, they'll use it for that purpose, but also moving forward, doing longer term projects, and it is capable of doing that. But you do need to understand workspaces to actually make that work. So there's loads that you can do with that. It's pretty amazing. It really is. What I might do with the MacBites thing, and now you see I don't actually, there's not much for MacBites goes in drafts anymore, I'll be honest. Still, some stuff does. If I'm on a phone, I'll probably send it to drafts. If it's an idea, it would go to drafts. If it was a story from somewhere, I'd send it to Instapaper and do it from there. But if I'm at my Mac, I have Roam open 24/7, and my notes would go in Roam. So if there's something that I'm like, I need to put that in the next show, I would put it in Roam and I would tag it MacBites. In fact, I'd be more precise than that. I would tag it with tonight's number if it was for tonight. So within Roam, I would just tag it, and it doesn't matter whether it's Roam or Evernote or whatever the heck it is. What I'm about to tell you will work the same in any application, including drafts. At the point it needs to be processed, you tag it, and you tag it. So in my case, this would be like, let's say, I needed to make a note that I was going to do the Advent layout. Right, then I would need to tag that. So I will tag that, and in this case, it would be after hours. And the number. We are 137 today, aren't we? We are.
Yeah.
Right, so it would be tagged like that. I would then have maybe in here a million other things that are also tagged the same. So let's just put in the after hours tag like that. I then come in to process it. And I'd probably have a workspace. So let's manage the workspaces and put in the after hours workspace. Right, and my query for this one would be after hours 0137. Right, so that should bring everything back, and I want it to change to the inbox. That should be good enough. So I won't bother changing anything else. I will just attempt to do that from in here and go to after hours. Boom, there's the things that are after hours. And like, there may only be 2 or 3 or 4. Right. Once I've dealt with them, I don't want to see them again. I don't want them in my list. So what I would do is have a negative tag, as it were, like not in search. In this case, it would probably be after hours added. And I would put, either added at the beginning and then after hours, so they all were the same place in the filter list. But in effect, what I'm saying is I've done that one. If I've done it, I don't want to see it then in the workspace, do I? So in my workspace, I go back into after hours. Where's my negative ones in here? I want to take it away. Where's the negative one? Oh, I'm not seeing it. It's disappeared. No, I am not seeing it. I want to exclude that. Oh, I have to see where they put that. But I would do it in there, and then that would filter it out. So I do that in Roam. You could do that in anything. Any application that has tags, you can do that in. I'll show it you manually in here. So we'll go back to clearing everything. This is what that would look like manually. What we want to see is all the things for after hours 137. So we've got these in here. But we don't want to see the ones that I've already processed, the ones that I've already added. So we add that. And then what I can do, I reckon I can type that in. I reckon I'd have to type it in. Or if I whipped to a workspace, I can save the current one. There you go. Yeah, so what you need to do is actually put it in with a bang at the front. I'm sure at one point there was an interface for that, but it's not there now. So I'll do it by hand. I'll put a comma in, and then I'll put the second one in, and hopefully our after hours one will now work. So let's go up to our workspaces. We'll try MacBites first and then go into the after hours one. And that hasn't totally done that. Does it need a space as well? Is it lying to me? Let's try this one. That's working. There we go. So in Roam, I actually put a tag that says added, and that way it filters it out and then I don't see it. You can do that in anything. Okay. Right, we're pushing time here, aren't we? Okay, I will show you a very basic action, and then we will look at more advanced actions down the line. But we will clear the filters to start with, and we'll start with something really basic like that. So, actions are what's over on this side. You get a group of actions, and unless you pay to customize them, you have the actions that they give you. They are extensive and you can download actions, but the custom actions are part of the Pro subscription. I'm not sure anymore. Originally, if somebody else created you an action, you could install it, but I'm not sure if that's true anymore. Maybe Mike can find that out while I rabbit about this. But what you do with the actions are what you want to do with what is in the draft. So how this works, to make sure we are all singing from the same hymn sheet, this over here is the text. This is the groupings or the categories that you put your text-based content, your drafts, into. What you see in this bit, the individual draft. And what you see over this side are the actions, which are the things that you want to do with the drafts. So this is what we're looking at. So for something like this, or one of my Lola ones, it's as simple as copying it. And it's copied, it's on the clipboard. I can then paste that in. So to show you that going in, there it is. I've copied it and I've pasted it into that window. And if I do that, it will add it down the bottom. It adds the same text, but it's a different draft because this one isn't flagged. So that is what copy does. Now I'm on this draft, and I'll put number 2 at the end, right? So we know which one we're on. So that one there is it. You have the opportunity with this one to copy and delete it. Because if you're copying it to paste it somewhere else, you might not want to keep it because, you know, end up with that many things in drafts. So double click, it copies it and it deletes it. If we then look at the bin, it's in the bin. So it only goes as far as the bin in case you made a mistake, but it does take it from where it was. Then you've got the opportunity to share it. So if I double click share, it will have a think about it and open up my share window. And one of the things I've got on there is Cloud App, which isn't actually running at the moment, so let's see what it does with that.
This says drafts is free to use with unlimited ability to create, edit and sync drafts and run actions installed with the app or from the directory.
I wonder if you could do it. If I created one for you, because Mike doesn't have a subscription, I wonder if you could install it. We'll try that for next week. Yeah. But let's actually just have a look at what this is doing at the moment. So if I get a window up in my browser and I put that link in that's automatically being copied, come on, back on this screen, there we go. It makes a text file and it uploads it up to Cloud App, and then you could download that from there. So that allows you to choose what you want to do with it. Then there's messages, you can send it to somebody, tweet it to somebody, but the thing is, okay, that's what you can do with it. If you have a paid subscription, you can edit these things. So this group is the basic group, and I found this was a little bit overwhelming. I didn't need all of these. In the groups, we've got basic, we've got my basic, where I've taken a load of stuff off, and you'll notice instead of just sending a mail, I've actually got it pre-configured to send a mail to me or send a mail to Mike. We do go live every Friday. We do. So with these, I want to move lines up and down, which is nice. I want to copy it. I want to make a task in things, add to day 1. These are all things that are customized to me. We did mention that the Evernote ones are dimmed out because the new Evernote is not the old Evernote. Things aren't what they were and it doesn't work. But we also have special ones in here. So there's my social ones, which is add the MacBites tags, add the Samoid tags, the Jackapoo tags, the Work Out Loud tabs, or insert a timestamp. So if I'm down here and I'm working and I just want to put a timestamp in, I just double click it. I always add the copy because the copy is really useful. It's probably what I'm going to want to do, the copy. There's editing ones in here where you move the cursor and make indents and outdents and stuff. So you basically change the actions in here, the tools that are available to you, based on what you're doing. So there is an OmniFocus task paper one there. And if you wanted to create task paper tasks in task paper format, that will enable you to do it quickly. And these, if you need extra ones, you can actually download them. So that's what you've got there. I will then go in and show you in one of these basic ones, my copy one. So that's the one that copies. So I double click to copy. How does that actually work? So you right click and you've got the ability to run it. and if you've got a Pro subscription, you'll be able to edit it. So when you go into it, you get another window entirely, a little editing window. And it's very similar to the workspaces. You have an icon, you have a title for it, you put some text in that describes what it does. Then you want to put the text, which is the button appearance. So what do you want the button to look like? And that's down here. It's talking about a button down there. You can run these with a keyboard shortcut. And if it's one you do all the time, it's probably worth adding to it. You can then decide whether you see it in the list on a Mac, which is this area over here. So that's the list on a Mac. The action bar is this bit down here, that bit there. And they are one and the same. So if I were to change those, the moment that's Markdown, but if I made that social, you would see exactly the same things that you see on here. So it's two different ways of accessing it. It's a great way to have a primary group on the right and then maybe a secondary one down here. So up here, most of the time I want to see e.g. Basic, but at the moment I'm working on these tweets and Facebook, Instagram stuff, and I want that down the bottom, but I can very easily change it. And you can change it to any ones of the ones that are there. So very useful. So I have that set to Markdown, and it gives me my Markdown stuff. So I can add things easily like tables and things. Right, so back to our window, our edit action. There we go. So that's what it means when it says list and action bar. That's the visibility on Mac. This could well be something that you only intend to use on the Mac, or something you only intend to use on iOS, in which case you can take the ticks out the boxes. So if you never want to see this on iOS, you just take them away, and it will only show on the Mac. Some things you might only want on iOS, so take the ticks away from the Mac. Don't forget you've done that though, if you try and do something and then think, why is that not working? Because you took the tick out of the box. But if you think of something like this Evernote thing, they work on iOS, but they don't work on the Mac. Not right now, they don't, because the client's not the same client. So I could take them out so they don't appear dimmed out. Then after success, you can determine what happens. So do you want it to do the default thing, which is usually a little icon? Do you want it to do nothing? Do you want it to archive the draft? You want to trash it, or you can stop and ask. So I'll show you the one that deletes it by comparison to this one. But just before we go through, you got the notifications and the log level. This is advanced stuff in terms of troubleshooting it. You could share it with the drafts directory, which is an online directory of things that other people have shared. So they've written something and think that you might find it useful, and you can actually download that. Right, so this is the middle bit is actually what's happening. So when you can have multiple steps, it can run through multiple items. This one only has one step. And when you select the step, the next panel, so in this one we've basically got three panels. We've got our first one, which is all of the metadata, which we've gone through. We've got this one, which is the steps themselves, and then over here, each individual step, so each one from there goes into here. If there was more steps and I clicked on them as I'm selecting them, this would update for that. So the first one is literally just replacing the clipboard. So it's editing the clipboard with the text of the draft. That's it. Just replace the clipboard with what is in the draft, and that's it. If you wanted to go through drafts, maybe in drafts you've got boilerplate text, and you go through it and you've got like paragraph 1, 14 different paragraph 2s. You could actually append this. So you could go through drafts and say, I'll take that one, that one, that one, and that one. And you will end up on your clipboard with the whole lot. If you selected 5, one after the other, you would have all 5 of them on your clipboard. So that one's actually really straightforward. It's only doing one thing. I'll show you the other one, because we know that what that does. I double click it and it copies. Right, in the basic group there is the copy and delete. So this one is doing 2 things, not 1 thing. So if we go into the edit there, it's copy and delete. So it's got different text, it's got a label of copy, That's when it goes down to the bottom down here, and it's in both versions of it. There's no shortcut key. After success, it needs to be trashed. That's the only difference. The other one, it didn't trash it. So the ability to take a draft and put it in the bin, in the trash, is an option in there. It doesn't have to be coded separately, it's just an option. So when you look up here, that's actually doing exactly the same, only then it's sending it to the trash. So one thing I could do is actually assign it a tag or something. So down here we have the assign tags option. So I could actually create an action that copied the content of it, so I could paste it into our MacBites system from here, but also assign it the added tag, so I don't have to do it manually or forget that I've done it and then do the same thing 3 times, which has happened. It has happened. So I could do that. So the first step when it comes to the actions is looking at the ones that are there and then really working out what exactly do you want to do with yours. What do you want to happen with it? You've got this text, what do you want to happen? In my case, one of the ones that I wrote, it was relatively straightforward. I just wanted to add all of that text to it. Oh, Renee says still no clue what drafts is. It's where text starts, Renee, and it's where you manipulate text. But if you've got no need for it, then don't worry about it. Right, one of mine was in the social, and it was this MacBites one there with the tags. So if we look at what that does, this one's doing 2 things. Right, it has a name of #Samoyed. I'm not concerned about the labels on the buttons and whatever, because I'm never going to put this down there. I'm quite happy with whatever it comes up with, I'm happy with. I've got 2 steps. The first one inserts 2 blank lines underneath the draft and then pastes all of that. Initially that was all I had it doing, and then I thought, just a minute, if you're at that point and you're putting that into a draft, you're about to send it to Instagram or you're about to copy it somewhere. So I then created a second step which is exactly the same as that copy one at the top. So all it's doing is 2 steps, the second one of which is the copy step, and that's it. So all it does on any draft, it just adds that text to the bottom of it, and then it copies it to the clipboard. Simple as that. There are probably more advanced things that we could get going with, but I'm going to leave that till next time, because people's minds are probably blown already. We've only got the unboxing left. But if you have any questions about drafts or you want to do something with it action-wise, just let me know, as I have had plenty of queries about drafts in the week, trust me. Right, if I'm going to go into the unboxing, things are going to have to move. Oh, it's so hot. I'm working around 14 fans, none of which are on at the moment. So I'm going to put that over there so I can sort of see it. But it is only sort of see it. You can see some of my keyboard, and with a bit of luck, it'll all work, she said. Is that enough room, do you reckon, Mike?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to have to press record on here. Oh, jolly good, jolly good. Right, I'll get that switched over. Oh, it's actually working. Good grief. Way! Hello! Right, where's the toy? The one in the brown box.
Is it the big box or the...
It's a brown one. There's only one brown one. Oh, bless.
There's a big brown one.
Oh, gosh, no, not that. Although if I opened that, they'd be terrified. I should do that, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Even I don't know what that is.
I know what it is, but you'll just giggle. We have an unboxing. Oh, we do. We do. I think there's actually more than one item in here. Ooh. Oh, Patricia wants to know, for newbies, what's the unboxing? The unboxing's when I've got something new, usually from Amazon, and I haven't told you what it is, and I unbox it live. So this one has been here for a couple of weeks, actually, so it's de-COVIDed. We do not have COVID concerns about this one. It's been here long enough. Oh, we've got all the reminders coming up now, but it's all right. You're not seeing them, so I'll deal with it later. So we do. It's more than one item in here. Listen to that rustling. There we go. Right. They are both the same. I have millions of hard drives, millions of them, dotted all over the place. Seriously, I do. I have a case for my, let's bring that one in, this one here, which is my SanDisk Extreme, which is awesome, my little SanDisk Extreme. That comes out, that's the drive, and it includes space for the cable. Hold on to these. So the cable sits inside it. So that's my SanDisk. But I have a million other drives which are not as expensive as this one, thank the Lord. Because that one, that's a 2 terabyte, so it was expensive. It was on sale, but it was expensive, and it has a little case. But hanging around, I have 5 million other drives. Let me show you what these actually look like. You'll love this. This is me with all my work that I did on the Build a Second Brain course. And obviously it has to have a backup. So we have a drive like that has a label on it and even says what it is. But then it has a twin. There's 2 of them. How elegantly held together with an elastic band. The backup is underneath. So those are twins of each other. That's what they look like. I'm so bad, aren't I? But what should happen, of course, is that the drive itself, like that, single drive, should go in a lovely little case like this. This was the plan. So I got myself a couple of these little cases. They've got space for the cable on there, just like the other one. But it's a little bit bigger. So I would pop that in there with the label showing so I know which is which, thus. In fact, I'd probably get 2 in there. I would probably get the other one in. I could either pop it in there, that might be a bit tight, or pop it over that side. And seal it. Oh, that's just so totally perfect. Totally perfect. These are, they did, oh, it's on the side there. They're Duronic. Can you see that? Duronic. It's an inexpensive brand over here. But actually, that's very nice. It's got a nice little rubber thing on here to hold it as you are unzipping it. And that's rather nice. So I got myself 2 of them for when I need to take these drives with me. Even if that's only downstairs, I need to take it with me. So I got 2 of these. I think they were, I'll give you the links. Mike's got the links, haven't you? Yeah. First link, I think, Mike. It's the one for the case. I think they were around £6 to £7, something like that. And there they are. So I'll pop that one in there. Now it doesn't have a drive in it. And there's the lucky band. So your little hard drive cases. There we go. I wonder who'll be tempted by little hard drive cases. Now I'll do the other box if you like, Mike. You'll giggle. I'm telling you, you'll giggle. You'll wonder. You'll probably have me committed, actually. That's probably what would happen. Let me put those over there because we'll be looking at those in a minute. Right, let's get the big box. The big box arrived yesterday. There's the big box, but it's not a tech toy. I guess I could relate it to a tech toy if it was to do with the office. So this is not a tech toy. No, not a tech toy. Trust me on that. If you want to have a guess, feel free, but it's not a tech toy.
No idea.
Oh, that's very tiny, isn't it? I was expecting something bigger than that.
Is that to go?
That can go. Right, I was expecting something a bit bigger than that, but let's have a look. Where's the end? It actually looks that the nearest thing to a tech toy that would ever be is the magic wand. But no, it's not a magic wand either. It is extensible though, or even extendable. Right, let's get it out. The mic will fall over. Right, there we go. Oh, that's very heavy actually. That's the extending bit. I mean, who doesn't want one like... Oh, I could reach you with it, Mike. Let's see how far it'll extend. Oh, that's mighty far, is it? Oh, I can poke Mike with it. How long do you reckon that is?
6 foot.
Yes, I reckon it's about 6 foot long. So we'll bring it back in and we will fold it up again. Otherwise I'm not going to be able to get the end on it, am I? But the big important bit of it is not this bit. Oh, this is grand. Loving that. It's this bit. It's this bit, so I don't know which end is which with this, which won't come as a surprise to any of you. I'm telling you, when you discover what it is, it will not come as a surprise.
Feather duster.
It's a duster. It's not a feather duster. It's a microfiber duster for all the dust that's around here. I don't know why I've got lime green bits in it, but there we go. So that obviously has to attach to that somehow. Does that? Don't leave me with things like this. It's a feather duster. What do I know about them? Oh, hang on. There's a screw end. Even I can manage that. Yeah, I'm not domestic, so I bought this for you, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
I'll go and tickle Lola with it.
There you go. It's a tickling stick.
Yeah.
It's a tickling stick. What I thought with this was, it's nice and squidgy. So, let's get rid of that and let's move the keyboard out of the way. Where it gets dusty, I can just do this now. I don't have to move. Oh, I'm loving it. Loving it. See, I can clean my desk without moving. I'll probably need to dust the plants at some point, won't I? But there we go. So yes, I told you it wasn't tech. You wouldn't be thrilled with this because it wasn't tech. But I do have some more tech to share, so don't worry about the fact I've got a duster. I've not lost my senses.
Weirdest unboxing ever.
Oh, I could be weirder. I could be weirder.
Anyway, Patricia's got a tech question.
Yay, what's the tech question?
Have you or do you show about your teaching setup? Just bought a new microphone and web camera and have the equipment for the NAS storage setup but need help connecting it to our home.
That sounds like fun. We could do. Leave that with us with one of our meetings tomorrow. It's Saturday tomorrow, isn't it? I've lost total track. Right, the two things that I had to unbox without you, sorry about that, because I needed to use them, were I got to a point with my cards. I think we discussed this, and it was to do with I had some SD cards and tiny SD cards and all kinds of stuff like that, and the equipment that I've got is still perfectly usable audio equipment, but it can only take a 4 gig card. You can't buy a 4 gig card to save your life. So I bought some as backups, and I added all that information to which device can take what card into Notion. Then I had a problem with all the cards, because the only card that you know where it is the one in the device. So when I'm out and about, I need to take cards with me. Out and about, those were the days, weren't they? But even if I'm just moving around, I need to have cards with me. I've got these little tiny card things, useless, totally useless. So I treated myself to this one. This one is for when I'm actually using the cards. And it came with this device at the top, which is so handy. It's the tray remover. They always get one with an Apple device to remove the cellular card from it. And I thought, how genius to put that in there and actually have a space for it. So for mine, which I think is I think mine fits in the middle there. But these are SD cards, and then there's smaller ones for the tiny SD cards. So it holds quite a few, and I would be doing that when I'm doing a shoot. So I think the last shoot, and it nearly killed me, so I didn't fancy doing another one, was for a course that I was doing, the Blue Yeti course. And I needed to do a shoot where I've got a Blue Yeti, and I've got a table set up, you name it. And I needed to have multiple cards with me. So this one is for carrying them around and actually working with the cards. That's the plan. It's got a seal on it, so it's waterproof. And that was an Amazon Basics one. But I've got more cards than that. So I found this, which was just genius. This was genius. It's a bit bigger. It's not that heavy. This one's actually heavier. So I think this one's got some kind of metal in it. This one is plastic. They did ship with a big carabiner that you can attach to yourself, and I thought, why would I be doing that? Because this is plastic, and I thought I wouldn't be putting that through there and carting it around, so I took that off. All I'm interested in, this is going to live in a drawer, and it's got cards in it. So in here are all my little cards lined up. So the ones at the back here are 32 gig cards that are to go in the CCTV. These over here are actually totally blank. So they are the adapter that you get with a micro SD. That turns it into an SD card. So the micro SD goes in the end. So if we use that as an example, that one, I broke a nail, so I need to use the other nail. Come on. Crying out loud. You do want to come out, you know you do. That's the size of the tiny one. So this is the adapter, and then that is empty. And I have a fistful of them. But I guarantee you, when I have one of these, I can never find one of these. So I decided I would put the empty ones in there as well. So the SD ones are over there, 32 gig. These are the blank ones. This is just foam with cutout in it, hence it being so light. But it holds 40, which is perfect. So I've got in here, I've got a 128 somewhere for something. So what I intend to do is label them all. It came with an insert. Let's grab the stuff it came with. The insert, there's two of them, and that pops in the top and it sticks with Velcro. And it also came with 2 sheets of these that you put on the actual card, which I'd much rather have some more of those before I try using them, because I've no idea how. I mean, they can go on the back of these, so they should be all right, but I can't see me actually filling that in anyway. It would make much more sense to me with these things if they were laminated, wouldn't it? But that's what it came with. It also came with some Velcro to attach this to the top of the case. But pretty much I know where everything is in there. So the logical thing for me would be, with that, I'd probably put it in Notion which one's in which slot, because I'm like that. Plus the fact I can then say to Mike, get that box out, and the 1/3 from the left, 3rd row in, that's what I want. So I've got organised with my cards. I think that one was $17.99, which was all its money, but there was nothing else like it, and that one is also waterproof. So yeah, I'm getting organised, and I've got a feather duster, so can't say fairer than that, really, can you? Poor Mike's face. Well, I do have a feather duster. I know this will come as a shock to everybody because I'm not the slightest bit domestic, but I do have a feather duster, but it's not as long as that one. So I can't reach out to do the ceiling over the stairs, not without breaking my neck. So I decided that was on offer. I'll get a duster.
Random tech question from Patricia.
Go on.
Can I use any PSD template or brushes in Affinity software? I found the Photoshop effects templates bundle on Mighty DS, but want to make sure it works in Affinity.
If it's effects, it might not. So I'd probably steer away from that just in case. I do have some, so we could test it. It isn't something that I've tried, to be honest. Now I'm groping for post-it notes. Oh no, she's groping for post-it notes. Let me move this in. That's what we'll do. You're seeing my desktop. Let's get you seeing the poster for today. I'll say goodbye on that. Right, let me come out of here, although we've not actually finished those yet, and let me put that in a note. I will try it in the week and I will let you know. I think the answer's going to depend on the precise action. The brushes will work, the majority of the brushes will work. It's the actions that might not. So let me have a look at it and see which ones work. Send me a link for the bundle you've found. If they're templates in terms of content, then they should work. If they're brushes, they should work. But if it's effects, possibly not. So just send me the link to what that is and I'll have a look. I've got a few things from Mighty Deals. I might already have it, so let me know. But I am putting, it's going into Rome. That's like a post-it note, but better. Right, so effects bundle for Patricia. So let me know which one it is and I'll check it for you. Right, let's get that out of the way. Let's get back into PowerPoint. That's what I want to do there. And that's what I want to do there. Okay, so the very first thing, sadly I haven't got any pictures of the feather duster. That's not helping, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Right, you will be in a second. There we go. That was the first thing that was the case. As I say, that was quite cost effective. You can pay as much as you like but you're not really gaining anything with that, to be honest. And it fits pretty much every 2.5-inch hard drive that you would care to throw at it. Liking the quality of that. Very good. The next one, which was the Amazon Basics one, which was for the cards when I'm out and about, is that one. Loved the fact it had one of those in it. I actually have a business card of my own, which I have cut a slot into, and it has one of those attached to it.
Are those the other two links?
Yeah.
I'll stick them in.
So that is very, very useful. Whoever thought of putting that in there, total genius. Loving it. Loving it, loving it. Great idea. And that's the one that holds 40 SD cards. I wouldn't have thought I had 40 SD cards, but then when I thought about all the audio devices, the user-specific size, and the cameras, I probably have. But might even need another one. But again, that one, they say it's portable. I wouldn't be running around with it. It's plastic. But it is waterproof, which is grand. So what do we have coming up? Oh, we have 138 next week. In fact, that's an important day, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
Why is it an important day?
Because
we're passing the number.
It's when they cross.
It's the crossover day.
The crossover.
If you're wondering, we have a podcast, MacBites, and we have 137 episodes of MacBites, and we now have 137 episodes of After Hours.
So if we could do an episode of MacBites.
Oh yeah, in this heat, I can just imagine it, Mike. Hello, goodbye. we're in the studio and it's warm, but we're back with episode 138 of After Hours next week, same time, same place. Available on demand, which is at youtube.com/ElaineGiles, is every episode there has ever been of After Hours in a playlist. The playlist is macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. Tonight's will get added as soon as we have finished. But if you want to watch later and you want to watch certain bits rather than the whole shebang, if you wait till tomorrow afternoon, we'll put the clickable links on. The reason that we can't do it in the morning is poor Mike does this job and YouTube plays with his mind on a Saturday morning. For whatever reason, YouTube doesn't work on a Saturday morning. So he'll do it at lunchtime and I will upload it after that. We are also marooned at MacBites headquarters every day, 7 o'clock UK time, having a ball. Coming up to 500 days, it's unbelievable. If you want to catch up with any of those, it's a rare old chat, isn't it, about anything and everything, not particularly tech. Sometimes it's tech, but not often. Sometimes it's vegetables that Renee finds and things like that. You have to be there. It's a thing where you have to be there. What happens on Marooned stays on Marooned, doesn't it? Which is just as well before we're arrested. But it is available on demand if you want to subscribe as a podcast. All of that happens on MacBites FM, which is our radio station that runs 24/7. It has all the episodes there has ever been of Marooned playing in a loop. So if you can't sleep at all, although I don't think you'd sleep if you were listening, would you?
True.
No, that wouldn't happen. But that's what we have on there. Anyway, we love you guys. If you love us, please give us a like. It makes a difference with YouTube and their ever increasingly weird algorithm. You can follow my news with what's going on with me at elainegiles.com/VIP, and that's the QR code. And there is a MacBites mail list, which is all things MacBites related, and that is macbites.co.uk/MacBites-mail. We are also in Slack. Slack is like Twitter but private and fun. So when you say Twitter, it's like, no. It's sharing little text messages with each other and pickies. It's grand fun. It is really. It's where we carry on the conversation. And if you would like to join us, it is at macbites.co.uk/Slack. And if you want to contact us, there's all the ways that you can contact us. And did I put with? I think I did, didn't I? I've been very busy on Twitter. I've tweeted more, which I can tell you from the stats, than probably the last 2 years so far. It's only been 21 days, hasn't it? You do realise it's now tomorrow and I've got to write another essay.
Yeah.
I'm like a rat on a wheel, aren't I?
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm going to write about today. So it's not too late to actually type something in and tell me what you'd like to see me write about. I've got like a list of stuff and I keep looking at it and thinking, yeah, I'll do that one. And then I always end up doing another one. Today's was free apps from Apple you don't even know you've got. And I flummoxed Mike with one, so that was success. Ooh. Okay, I'm reading all of this, which is thanks for a great show. Thank you, loved it as usual. You're all very, very welcome. Never mind the vegetables. We need to leave the vegetables out of it, Renee. No one is ever going to beat you with that vegetable. We used to have a programme in the UK, didn't we? That's Life.
Yeah.
And they always had this section. Some of it was quite serious and some of it was really funny. Who was the guy? The old guy in the chair. Oh, I loved him on that. He was so funny. So some of it was really funny. Some of it was deadly serious. Things like, I think they got... There was a campaign that they ran, and I think it was for like children's night clothes, so they didn't set on fire, so they were fire retardant. Some really, really important stuff. But the best bit of the week was when she had the vegetable of the week, and there was this carrot once, but it doesn't beat Renee's. So it's a shame you weren't on that programme. You'd have won it.
There's Richard Stilgo.
No, it wasn't Richard Stilgo.
Cyril Fletcher.
That's him, Cyril Fletcher. Yeah. Oh, he was brilliant. Richard Stilgo did like what's it did later? Julie, not Julie, the other one, Wood and Walters, Victoria Wood, where he did like a story to a piano, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like the Ballad of Brenda and Frida. No, was it Brenda?
Brenda and.
Was it Brenda and Fred?
Frida and.
Oh, it's fabulous. If you've never heard it, you've got to hear it. Was that the 80s? Can we play it tomorrow night? Was it 85? Because if it was, then that's grand. You are all very, very welcome. Thank you for your kind comments. If you like music and you like 80s music, UK time tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we're doing 1985. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. That is a radio station. For the uninitiated, this is going to come as like, they're probably going to think these people are weird.
We are weird.
We are weird.
We are weird.
In addition to all things MacBites, Mike runs a Catenian radio station, don't you?
Yeah.
And Saturday night is music night. Since lockdown, people can't go out. Or they couldn't go out. Independence Day here on Monday. Brace yourself. No, I'm not going out. We have this music show on a Saturday night. It is 4 hours of whatever we choose for the theme to be. And the theme for tomorrow night is 1985. And some of the songs we've got. In honour of D, tomorrow's theme is 1985. It's at brooklands196.com if you want to check it out. Oh, Carol says beautifully weird. Jolly good. I'm glad to hear that. Not just weird.
Night, Daniela.
Oh. Night, Daniela.
Wiggy.
We will head off as well. Oh, no, don't cross-pollinate the Wiggy Wiggies. Or that'll take more explanation. No, that'll never do. Right, so we'll be back on Marooned tomorrow at 7. We'll be following that with a 4-hour music show at 8 o'clock. We will be back here next week. And there'll be a MacBites at some point. If everyone can live that long, that would be grand. We are consistently inconsistent. We're working on being inconsistently consistent, aren't we? Or the other way around. Consistently consistent. That would be grand. We'll see how it goes. That's all I can say. We'll have a meeting. 'Cause we never did finish that meeting, did we? I don't think we ever finish a meeting. We just kind of run out of steam. And given the heat tomorrow and the fact that we've got the show at 8 o'clock... It's going to be touch and go whether we have the fan on or not. This is what it sounds like with a little fan on. How different is that? Because Kim said the other night, not that different. But when I listened on my headphones, alarmingly different. But I'll put it down to the headphones. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that is really nice. Oh, I'm loving it. Right, I'll leave that on while we say goodbye, and then when I listen back to it, I'll know how bad it was, won't I? So, for the moment, it's good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.